Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Games Done Quick Hotfix on this wonderful Sunday morning, or perhaps it's afternoon or evening for you, I don't know, but for me it's the morning, and I'm excited to be here because we have Pokemon on the show, which is always a delight for me as an avid Pokemon fan and occasional Pokemon player, I think. I don't know, it's yet to be decided. But we have good friend of the show, Thomas Patrick WX, joining us today to show off some Pokemon Violet speed runs, but we're going to get into that in just a second. We have some announcements, as is tradition. Summer Games Done Quick 2023 is coming up May 28th to June 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're interested in attending the event, registration is now open until May 3rd, and off-site volunteer submissions, which includes like chat moderation and stuff like that, that is now open until March 22nd, so you have 3 days on those applications. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. And Games Done Quick is returning to PAX East 2023 on March 23rd to the 26th. Be sure to check out the speedrun stage if you are there at PAX and you're interested in watching some speedruns or playing through the gauntlet. But today, T-Pat, hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. And Ada, I know you're a Pokemon fan. Congratulations on your Ironmon victory recently.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I threw my head against a wall for long enough to be successful.
I have a few slightly fewer attempts at this category than that.
Yeah.
But I think the feeling is mutual because my best time in this is a 55:10. That came on my first day of ever learning the category. On January 30th, and I just haven't been able to beat it since. I've been playing much better, so my hopes are high that I can deliver a PB for you today.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And, you know, obviously for those of you that this is your first time watching PB Precipice, whether you're watching on YouTube after the fact or watching the stream right now, obviously the central conceit of the show is that people can do proper PB attempts. So we're hoping we'll see a T-Pat PB today. And T-Pat, who is this that you've brought on to speak? Who is this man?
I have this excellent Pokemon speedrunner, and we have Etiquette to help commentate today. Hi, Etiquette. How's it going?
Good. Hope you're ready to put on a good show.
Yeah.
This will be exciting.
Yeah, so T-Pat, obviously, so whenever you're ready to do attempts, by the way, you know, it is proper GDQ etiquette to give the countdown. But whenever you're ready, go ahead and get started.
All right. I'll just quickly explain what the category is and
please.
why I'm not standing at the very beginning of the game. So this is Pokemon Scarlet Violet Path of Legends. This is a single story category. So obviously we're not doing the full game, which is 5.5 hours long. ADF told me that is way too long. We can't do that. So we're doing the shortest mainline category. So you can do any of the companion storylines individually. Arvin's story is Path of Legends. This is under an hour. There is Penny's story, which is Starfall Street. That's about an hour and a half. And then there's the more traditional Pokemon game that would be Nemona's storyline, Victory Road. That's getting the 8 badges, fighting the Elite Four. You can do those stories individually, or you can do them all together, which would be any percent. So we're doing the shortest category. It starts after you obtain, like after you talk to your friends, you've been through the school, we've already picked our starter, and our starter that we pick is Sprigatito for this run, and we will be using Sprigatito and eventually Meowscarada as the main Pokemon. It did just supersede Flamigo as the best for this category specifically. So we have already obtained our Sprigatito. It's level 10. It's basically done the minimum number of battles up to this point. And like most Pokemon speedruns, sometimes the hardest part is the beginning part. So when I get going, I'll kind of turn things over to Etiquette to explain a little bit while I go through some very difficult movement in the first 3 minutes of this game. So as is tradition here on GDQ, we'll start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go!
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you. First thing I'm going to do is get some X attacks.
Yeah, so this is going to be the one shop in the run. You know, as is tradition with Pokemon runs, a lot of X items. Not too many X items. There's not a ton of fights in this category. You can tell it's relatively short for Pokemon. And so there's not going to be a lot of opportunities to use those X items, but the 3 that we grabbed there are definitely very necessary.
We'll be using them in the last 2 fights of the game, but there are only 6 fights in total. So this ends up being a very movement-heavy category, but the fights themselves are quite difficult.
Yeah, and that's actually a common theme in, or at least the first part of that is a common theme for pretty much all of the runs of this game. This game is very open world, and you're going to see why that is so broken for the run. And
Everyone's favorite Mario trick.
yeah, we do some backwards long jumping up there.
Oh, hello. Oh, I'll just keep going. I can run away from this.
Yeah, that should be fine. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of long stretches of movement as well. This category actually does a really good job of breaking up that movement.
That was nice.
And you know, we're going to be doing stuff while doing the movement. Some other categories will.
That Hobbit was spawn camping again.
Kind of ridiculous that you didn't get that. Yeah, the hitboxes in this game are a little ridiculous, so that is very surprising that you didn't get that encounter. Yeah, this category kind of does do things in a bit of a more broken up way. So we're going to be doing a lot of movement, but then sort of doing things in between. And the main reason we're going to be doing movement is actually to get a lot of these items that we're about to grab one of here.
Come on, make it.
Which are candies.
I love candies.
Yeah, it was found pretty early on that there are a ton of experience candies and rare candies. Most people know what rare candies are. Experience candies were added in Generation 8. But for anyone that doesn't know, rare candies will increase your level by 1 when you use. So if you have 5 rare candies, you can increase your level by 5. EXP candies give a flat amount of experience. So the two main ones that we're going to be picking up are mediums and larges. Medium experience candies will give you 3,000 experience, and large experience candies give you 10,000. So you'll notice we just used one medium and jumped from level 10 to level 17. We're going to use a large and jump all the way up to like 20.
I think it's 25, 26.
26. So you can see it's like really powerful.
Do I have any line types around here? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, that is super powerful. We're going to be grabbing a ton of those. We're actually not going to be grabbing as many as you would see in any percent. In any percent, we would literally get ourselves up to like level 70. This we're going to be going a little bit lower.
We only do like 60% of the candy gathering that we would normally do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, in like any percent, since we do like all of the storylines, we end up at level 82 after using all of our candies. For this run, we're only going to get to 53. That's all we're going to need, which is one of those level thresholds that gives us like just enough of a damage boost to be able to win all the fights. You've probably heard it explained at like every GDQ event and every Pokemon run that your attack gets a boost every time you get to a level that ends in 3, 5, 8, or 0. And that is true here. That's why we go to 53 specifically.
Yeah, it's basically, let's get a little nerdy with it. Basically, the damage formula has a part where it does like level divided by 4, and it rounds. So you end up with getting a boost at 3, 5, 8, and 10.
Still picking up some candies. My movement's been good. The only thing is I took that encounter, which costed me 10 seconds or so. But I'm still ahead. Wait, am I going this way? I'm going this way.
Yeah, and the other thing that we, didn't get exactly what we wanted to have happen, which was related to setting up Overgrow. So since Sprigatito is our starter, all the starters have basically the same ability, and the ability will increase the damage of their type's moves when they are below 1/3 health. So we have Overgrow. Overgrow is going to increase grass damage if we're under 1/3 health. And what we're trying to do in that very early part is use a new mechanic added to this game called the Let's Go mechanic to intentionally lose health. We send out our Pokemon against Pokemon we know we cannot defeat to try and lose our health to get knocked down to less than 1/3, and then we can one-shot both phases of Cloth. Cloth is the first Titan here. This category involves beating basically the 5 Titans. Each Titan has multiple phases to it. First phase is usually like a standard version of the Pokemon, no boosted stats or anything. Second phase, and in one case, a third phase, are going to have these boosted stats. So this Cloth here normally does not die in one hit, but if you get knocked into Overgrow, it can.
Yeah, and if you saw it really quickly, you do the Let's Go feature before you evolve, because when you lose an auto battle, you lose half of your health. So my Sprigatito went down to half health, but then I used my candy, so it gained some of its health back. If I then after that lost another half of my health, I'd be at about 22 out of 73 HP, which would put me in Overgrow, but I only did half of that, which is why I'm at 58 out of 73. So this will be a 2-shot instead of a 1-shot. You overall will save time using the Let's Go feature if you get it right, even though it takes a little extra time, over this being a 2-turn fight. Like, the fight would be over now if I was already in Overgrow.
Yeah, and the fight going... one of the main reasons you really want to have a 1-turn fight here is you'll notice that we strategically didn't knock Cloth down below half health. And it was actually kind of close with the fact that the Shelder also attacked.
Yeah.
If Cloth has an ability called Anger Shell, where when it gets knocked below half health, it will gain attack, speed, and special attack, and lose defense and special defense. And that is accompanied by an extremely long animation.
It's so long.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's really funny when you're doing any percent, because you hit the first turn, you hit Cloth with a move that does almost no damage. And it's purely because the Shelder is going to help you be able to one-shot it after the fact. But yeah, in this category, you typically go for that Overgrow Grass Knot. It can be arranged depending on your cat, which I guess it's probably important to talk about the Sprigatito's stats.
Yeah, so since we're already well past the starter picking point, there's no RNG manipulation like, say, for Squirtle and Fire Red Leaf Green, but we do the next best thing, which is just starter resets. Think shiny hunting, but for the best stats possible. So I've specifically grinded for about 2.5 hours just picking Sprigatitos to get one that had high enough HP, defense, attack, special attack, and speed. And I'm barely minimum on all of those thresholds to get what is considered a runnable Sprigatito. You'd probably think that all these are pretty good, but let me pull this up. My HP is 22. Attack is 14, defense 24, special attack 21, special defense 5, and speed 24. So it's that's above average. Barely passable for this category, especially in that HP defense. The last fight of the game will just outright have a 24% chance to 2-hit KO me. I could continue to grind for better stats, but it takes quite the investment beforehand to get that done. However, once you have the Sprigatito that you're looking for, since we save well after that point, every time I do a reset, I'll have the exact same Sprigatito every single time. The trade-off is that in a marathon run, I can't safety save, because if you safety save, then that cat is forever gone. That's its last run. So this is great for this show, is to do resets and PB attempts, because I'll have the safety of having the same cat every single time I do an attempt.
Yeah, that's nice that you don't have to I mean, right, that's always the biggest part of a lot of Pokemon speedruns is okay, how good's my starter? Whether that's orchestrated through a manip or just through praying, it's nice that you don't have to worry about that.
Our friend Pulse Effects was grinding this category for a long time, and he got a cat that was insane. It looked manipped. I think it had 30 to 31 IV in every stat, and it was whoa. Obviously, the higher your attack or special attack is, the more likely it is that stuff is going to die in one turn, and such and such. This is kind of the best I could get.
Yeah, I think mine ended up being good enough. but I got to a point where I was like, I know all of my stats except for one of them, and if it's not runnable, then I'm just going to deal with it. Because one of the problems with setting up your save file is you don't want to gain any like other EVs or anything. So part of your stats are the IVs, which is like this Pokemon is just going to naturally be good. And then the EVs are sort of like how it is trained. So you're going to end up with more EVs depending on what Pokemon you defeat. And as you gain those EVs, it becomes harder and harder to tell exactly what stats you have. So you have to like do a really specific way of grinding, and you have to grind on these low level Pokemon because if you advance the game too far, then yeah, it's a thing to set up.
It's
but
a thing.
Here we're seeing probably like, in my opinion, one of the coolest parts of the run. This is known by a couple of names: Halloween, Candy Hunt around the world.
I like Halloween.
Yeah, this is basically where we're running around, getting as many rare candies and experience candies as we can, along with a couple of other items. We're going to grab like a TM in a little bit. And these areas are not areas that were really meant to go. The game is very open world. Like you can go anywhere that you're like that you can get to, essentially. So like you can't go to islands because we don't have the ability to surf yet. But other than that, you can go anywhere in this game.
Okay,
and so the Pokemon around here
it's just one
are like level 40, like 35, level 40. We just started. So we're going through these high level areas. And
Anakin,
a lot of people wonder.
Did I show you
that?
Did I show you that one screenshot of me having like 5 Pokemon spawn like on that little rock face where you need to jump? Man, this game, everything's overworld spawns, and yeah, that's a thing that could happen. I was just like, thankfully, it was just one, and I actually BLJ'd a little bit past where you would normally go, just so I could work my way around that encounter. Whew. I do like Flatoddles. They Naruto run, and they're very cute. One of the better Gen 9 Pokemons.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, isn't this like a waste of time to run around and get all this stuff? But not really, because we're basically going to areas that we need to go to eventually anyways. Like that town we were just in, where T-Pat flew, like we jumped off the cliff and then flew to the other side of the town. We're going to have to fly there pretty soon to fight the next Titan. Here we're going through this tunnel to unlock another fly point while we're picking up some items, and you know, we have to fly there to beat another Titan. So it's all places we have to go to eventually anyways. It's just, may as well do it early and grab all these items while we can.
That's the second horde spawn that made me bonk into the wall trying to dodge them.
Yeah. Another problem with the overworld spawns is sometimes they don't give you enough time to react.
Yeah.
So what we just did there, we picked up the Rash Mint. Another item added in Generation 8 are mints. You can change your Pokemon's nature. So Rash is plus special attack minus special defense. And so having that good special attack will be useful for parts of this run. Depending on what cat you have, you may or may not want to pick up the Rash Mint. You may want to get the Adamant Mint later. I don't think you ever go Hasty, but that's another one that's like right in the path.
Yeah, I do both. I go Rash early and then Adamants for the end game.
Yeah, that's a very safe way to do it for sure.
And again, so like when our community had been like routing this out, we like routed it out for like any given cat, you know, any given Sprigatito. I need this 5 point. I need this Tropius to behave. But once you know what your cat's stats are, you can make a kind of more tailored route for you. Like, oh, I can skip the Adamant Mint and then have a slightly better movement. But for me, it's basically like rock chalk on all the strats. So this is a very typical like Path of Legends run. It might not be like the world record pace because I would need a just a better Sprigatito in almost every single stat line. Ooh, watch out for those Vrooms. They're easily the fastest Pokemon overworld in the game.
Oh, I guess another thing we should mention. So it's really useful in Path of Legends just because it's, the point of the category is to be able to Titans. But the Titans are the way that you unlock your abilities on your ride Pokemon. So we now have the ability to dash because we've beaten Cloth. We're going over here to fight Orthworm. Orthworm gives you the ability to jump higher. And so because we have multiple categories, we've got a category for Starfall Street where you have to beat the star bases. You have a category for
Victory Road
where you have to beat all the gyms. It actually becomes a question in those categories. Like, is it worth fighting Cloth to get the ability to dash? Is it worth fighting Orthworm to get the ability to jump high? And that's actually something that's being debated quite a bit in Starfall Street. It seems like it's actually worth not
you can pick up that
not
item.
fighting Cloth when it should be obvious to fight Cloth. Like,
Yeah.
I want to run fast. Like, let me just do it. But it's actually quite a bit of a time sink. So
Yeah, it was interesting because, like, if you would have asked that question 2 weeks ago, it was like, oh, then we would still fight Cloth as an optional to get that dash ability. But yeah, it's being debated now, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, and it's one of those things that the shorter the category is, the less obvious the question or the answer is. It's one of those things like I think in this category, if the Titans weren't already required just to beat the game or to beat the category, I think you would not fight Cloth because I think it's just short enough that you wouldn't benefit enough from dash. But you have to fight Cloth because it's just part of the story.
Yeah. We're teaching Flower Trick, the signature move of Masquerada. Okay, well.
Oh, actually, another really small speed tech
Wait,
here.
I actually forgot to teach Aura Sphere.
Oh, okay. Another small little speed tech thing here. We purposely are doing that menu inside that tunnel. It's not just because, it's right before Orthworm. It is right before Orthworm, but you could do it a little bit sooner or like after you exit the tunnel. Doing it in the tunnel means that
It forces the game into like a cutscene because otherwise that would take like the evolution would take place in the overworld. And since Pokemon just spawn in the overworld, they don't go away. It just would lag the game more. So that's just a really safe way to do it there.
Yep, exactly. It's useful in any percent too. You can like evolve your Pokemon indoors, which also does a similar thing. But yeah, we grab Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere is a fighting type special move. Not very many of those, but it ends up being really useful. Orthworm is a steel Pokemon that has very high defense. So we use the special move here. We're also going to use it for another couple fights, actually, because are you going to use it on the
flying
Donphan Titan?
No.
Okay.
I will not use it on Donphan Titan. I actually tested that out. And it's significantly weaker than using your stab grass type move. And we have Miracle Seed at that point, so the boost is just so powerful. Also, by delaying that menu, you're still at level 51 instead of 53. And so you're even weaker yet. It's just you don't even have a chance to Oko.
Gotcha.
It's actually very slow. But I was just like, oh, why don't we just keep Aura Sphere for the thing that it's weak to? Didn't quite work out.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Don't worry. Tried that one out.
Yeah. Normally people are doing runs on Scarlet version. T-Pat only has Violets. That's why he's running that. There's not many differences between the two in terms of like strategies, but this category has essentially one of the only differences between the two games. But people usually run Scarlet because it is believed that Scarlet just runs faster.
Yeah, lags
less. Yeah.
And we're not harping on the game because it's laggy. It's actually something that we have to like consider.
Yeah.
And try to mitigate throughout the run. And the way we know is that, especially in any percent categories, like any percent, in fact, I'll use my run yesterday as an example. I got a 530 540 in my any percent. But my in-game time was a 519. So there's an 11-minute discrepancy just because the game lags by a quite significant margin. So doing things like using that low angled camera angle and kind of looking more down towards the ground, just kind of limiting the visibility of what might be on screen, are just ways to help circumvent the game from chugging more than it should.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that discrepancy between the two, like the in-game time and the real time. The reason why that's also notable in terms of a Violet versus Scarlet difference is that window, that difference, is actually smaller in Scarlet. We were having cases where, before we realized this, the Scarlet record would be like a 5:37 with a 5:27 in-game time. And then people would get like a 5:38 in Violet with a faster in-game time than we had in Scarlet. So it was this weird discrepancy. It was like 2-minute difference just in the in-game time. And then we did some side-by-side comparisons, and we don't know why, but it does appear that Violet runs a little bit slower.
I had this funny thing happen where somebody who had just played the game casually and doesn't like reset like their Herb Mysticas had a huge discrepancy between their in-game play time and their Switch calculated game time, because the Switch will tell you how many hours you've played a game, and it was significantly more than the in-game time. So you might be able to check it out for yourself. It's recommended that if you are playing casually, like, just save and reset your game every, like, 2 to 3 hours or so.
All right.
And at any percent, we do that too. We do a save and reset at just before the 3-hour mark, like almost exactly halfway.
All right. So while we're in this cutscene here, T-Pat, how's this run going? How are you feeling about this run?
This run has been fine. Honestly, it's just like, okay, like, yeah, you're probably looking at the splits. You're saying, 17 seconds behind. I'm not too worried. That's pretty minimal. Like, I'm feeling confident. I've made like a couple small errors. Like, I forgot to teach Aura Sphere, so I had to dip back into my menu. I didn't get the overgrowth setup, and I got 1 extra encounter. 3 small things. It does add up, but overall, everything's been fine so far. But thankfully, the first half of the run is more movement-based, and then the second half of the run is more battle RNG-based. So we could save or lose time on the second half on the fights. But let me say this, on the Iron Treads split that's coming up, there's this really cool movement section where you climb down a mountain. I've been getting really good at that. Like, nice. That's probably where I can make the biggest difference, just from a skill perspective. I mean, yesterday I did it the best I've ever done it, so I'll probably mess up in this run since I just said something. But you know,
yeah, there's a lot of really neat movement tech. One of them, like T-Pat was alluding to, as you're going down, if you jump from a really high area and then just land on the ground, you end up getting this little fall animation that just it stops you for a couple seconds and then you can start moving again. There are a lot of ways to mitigate that. One of the big ones is to hit like a slope on your way down. So if you instead of hitting the ground, if you hit a piece of ground that you can't stand on, you're going to slide down. That breaks your fall and you don't have to worry about that little animation. There's another way that we do it. We may have seen it earlier in the run where you can dismount your ride Pokemon and fall off the cliff and then remount at the bottom. And so because you remount, it sort of, resets your fall distance. And so you don't have to worry about that fall either. So it depends on the situation, but there are definitely different ways you can do it.
I've been doing that really good today, but I just added a couple extra bonks. So I'm probably coming out even. More movement here. These ledges are really awkward. I just high jump them because every time I try to short jump them, they're like just tall enough to not be short jumps. I don't know what it is.
I haven't done this movement in so long because we changed this movement for any percent.
Exactly. But here's the you saw me pick up and use the rash mint. That's the adamant mint, or the adamant.
Yep. Yeah, adamant is plus attack minus special attack. So we're going to be switching at some point from our kind of specially focused move set to a almost purely physical.
And the main reason for that is for our special move set, we're using Grass Knot and Aura Sphere as our main moves, but we're going to need a big damage boost for Flower Trick, which is a physical attack, later on. And when I say later on, I mean late on. Flower Trick is a very slow animation move. This game being, I guess, technically the second game in the Pokemon series after Legends Arceus, where you cannot turn off move animations. So it does make a difference to know, oh, watch out. Woo!
Nice.
I had one of those hit me yesterday. I can't believe I saw that. It does make a difference to know what move and like how fast the move is specifically. So for any percent, Flamigo likes to use Wing Attack and Low Kick as some very fast moves, but Close Combat is a slow move. Here, oh, Nimble, man. I saw it at the last second and I was like, ah. I dodged the Caspa Kid, but I didn't get the Nimbles. No, there's another one! Okay, 1 for 2 on dodging Nimbles. I'll take that.
Jeez.
Woo!
It's such an interesting dynamic that, like, so much of Pokemon speedrunning is mitigating wilds via repels or, like, manip or just, like, praying you get lucky. But in this run, like, technically it should always be avoidable, but that obviously is not the case because stuff spawns out of nowhere. But yeah, I just think that's interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of spawning out of nowhere, you have to be careful of every tree you try to grab an item underneath. Because
there was one today, like in this run, there was a Toedscruel that was like near a tree. If you're even like remotely close, it might weirdly like catch the spawn on you.
Yeah. There have been there are so many clips of speedrunners who will have a tree that has nothing underneath it, all of a sudden get stopped and, oh, here's an encounter. Or even like, halfway across the map and just getting encounters for no reason.
Yeah.
There's clearly some sort of like, you can scare the Pokemon and it will be like, like, let me encounter you. But like, we just don't fully understand it.
There's a clip on my channel like recently where I see what's the Lechonka evolve form.
Oinkalon.
Oh yeah, there's one of those. I see it and I'm like, I pass it, and like 3 seconds later I stop and encounter it.
Yep.
But it was like kind of by a tree, so I don't know. It was a little funky. I was also mentioning this to you the other day, Etiquette, that repels don't exist in this game, but the code for them does.
Right.
Like there's like a physical code description and like an icon for repels, but no repels exist in this game. It says
it'd be nice if they did.
It says they would repel quote low level encounters.
I mean, that's what repels do.
Really nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be nice
if they did exist.
It sure would. Again, a little bit of time loss. That's mostly from the encounter, which takes about 10 seconds. Hopefully the next part will be the part that I can finally gain a little time. It's nice to get these cutscenes to kind of like take a breather, think about your next section. By the way, the second phase of the Bombardier is a 50% range for me.
Okay.
No, it's a little better. It's 10 and 16. No, it's a little better. It's... Wait, first I looked at attack and not special attack, and then I had the wrong line. 11 and 16, everyone's favorite range. Nice.
Yeah, I guess this is probably a good time to sort of explain. This was the first of the single story runs that really got routed and everything. And it was originally routed using at the time it wasn't the any percent main, but the any percent main Flamigo, which is a really fast and powerful flying fighting type. And that route underwent a couple of different variations. The final version of it before the cat took over involved picking up a TM called Reversal, and using Endure, which will basically leave you on 1 health if you get knocked out. And then using Reversal, which is a move that has increased power the lower health you have. So you end up with like a 200 power move that's just like, completely broken. But it ended up basically the actual act of catching Flamigo, going out of your way for reversal and everything, just ended up not being quite enough for to prevent the cat from taking over.
Yeah, because all the little small time saves add up faster in a shorter category. So by just straight up using the starter makes the most sense in a short category because you don't have to go out of your way to catch a new starter. And the candies we pick up for this, which is the medium and the large candy, are closer than the large candy that you pick up if you go out of your way for Flamigo. Like, Flamigo's just farther away, and then you have to go even farther to get the large candy. You end up at the same level afterwards, because you catch Flamigo at 17 and then large candy to 25. And here you saw me use medium large to 26. But that was just much, much farther away than just having Sprigatito. All right, here's the movement that hopefully I can do really well. I had a little bit of a drop down.
Yeah, so that little animation there is what we're trying to avoid. The first part of that looked really good. It was just sort of fell off a little too soon.
And now I teach Knockoff, which is a dark type move. Ooh. Let's go for the slide.
Perfect.
I was actually unturboing B and I was like, okay, just go for the slide. Oh, I actually missed. I did it too soon. That's okay. I got another harsh landing. That's fine.
This is one you can... Oh!
I'm surprised.
See, sometimes the game does that. You definitely hit that slope.
I definitely got the slide there. Here, I should be able to... And that was... So that was not good. Like I said, I've been doing that. I've been doing that great recently. So that was... What?
How?
What? It wasn't even on the screen. I'm like on the cutscene too. So this double... So this triple hurts me because A, I did the climb down slow, B, I got the encounter, and C, you can see that Iron Treads moves around. I basically have to wait in this spot for it. Where are you, buddy?
Yeah, and so this is actually one of the differences between Scarlet and Violet.
This encounter you
this
here.
Pokemon is different. This is Iron Treads. Iron Treads is one of the new Paradox Pokemon. And in Scarlet, you get Great Tusk. Iron Treads is a ground steel type, and Great Tusk is a ground fighting type. So you basically have slightly different, type matchups and everything to deal with.
Okay, good. That's a favorable range for me. I think it's 14 and 16. Ooh, why are all the encounters like so close? That's okay. We're getting all the mediocre RNG out of the way. So that way we can have some lightning fast attempts later on. So this is probably the biggest advantage that Scarlet's going to have. While this advantages Violet with Flamigo, with the fighting type move, with being super effective, for Meowscarada, a grass type move would be super effective against Great Tusk, but it's only neutral effective against Iron Treads. So this is a very unfavorable 2-shot range for me. It's only 15%. However, if Arvin gets a Fire Fang off, then it's totally fine. Like, it's quite clearly a 2-shot. And the only difference is, does he use Fire Fang turn 1 or turn 2? He usually favors turn 2. Usually likes to go Scary Face into Fire Fang. However, yesterday I had a run where he got flinched turn 1 and then used Scary Face turn 2. Ooh, good crit! I got it.
Nice.
But yeah, usually you get a Fire Fang and it's like not bad.
T-Pack, can I ask why, what sort of the rationale is of like why this run and not one of the other two sort of path speedruns?
Well, they're all incredibly unique in their own right. This one's just the shortest of the three. Victory Road is more like the traditional Pokemon game. Starfall Street is kind of interesting because it's only the star bases, which are actually quite challenging. They have like some of the highest level Pokemon in the game, particularly like the fighting and the fairy base. That's a really interesting run. However, the mechanic for the Starfall base gets a little stale after a while because it's all like the key there is like doing auto battles to defeat 30 Pokemon as you raid the base. But it's that 5 times. So imagine doing like the same, like the gym puzzle test, but it was just the same gym puzzle 5 times. But still can be a very interesting run. This is just like very, very short, you know, very movement focused, with a sprinkle of RNG at the end. I personally haven't learned the other 2 single story categories. I've been doing a lot of what we call treasure hunt, which is doing all 3, which is effectively any percent, but with the intro and the end game cutouts. There are some like small differences you can do for treasure hunt specifically. They're not like a big deal, but they can save a little bit of time. Etiquette's been really pushing that pretty hard, actually.
Yeah, that and I'm really partial to Victory Road, which is the one where you basically just do the 8 gyms in the Elite Four. Because like T-Pat said, it's kind of like your more traditional Pokemon run. And the nice thing is it's a late gen Pokemon game, which is what I'm partial to, but is actually like the length of the early gen Pokemon games. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes for the record right now, which is just a great length. All 3 of the single stories are really good lengths. This one's an hour. Starfall is about an hour and a half. And Victory Road's a little over 2 hours. And then that treasure hunt category is closer to about 4 hours, which is your more traditional length for these late gen Pokemon runs.
Yeah, and any percent in this is 5.5, and it's a haul. It's what, the second longest of any main series Pokemon game, behind ahead of only Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
Yes, Ultra is about 10 minutes longer.
All right, 4 out of 5 Titans defeated. Yeah,
So we're going to fly back to this watchtower that we grabbed way earlier. So you can see that movement coming in clutch here.
I usually can't make this all the way, like on one glide. Oh, that's pretty close though. Nope, I'm just gonna drop. I don't want to just barely miss it because then it's just hard to get up on this little ledge. You're like sliding down because it's like enough to be like a sliding slope, and you'll see Miraidon be like, I can't get up there. It's just like, just get up there. So I like to drop in the water here. This is once again Grass Nuts. This is a range, and I missed it. So this is where it starts getting a little spooky, because Water Pulse is a move that can confuse you. It's only 20% to confuse. He can also use Body Slam, which is 30% to paralyze you. Keep that in mind. in a little bit here. Because I took damage, I'm going to use my Adamant Mint early here.
Yep. Yeah, so I kind of alluded to this earlier. This Titan actually has 3 phases. The first 2 are going to be against this Dondozo, who is a bit of a pain, but the real boss is going to be the 3rd phase.
Woo! Sorry, I just make noises when I see wild encounters that are in front of me. You're just going to have to get used to it. It's going to be a... Woo! Hee! That is just generally how I like play this game. It's just like, okay, focus, focus, focus. Ah! Focus, focus, focus. Yeah, so this is where the RNG really comes into play. Missing that range on the first phase is a little slow because you have to do this extra menu. And then the lake lags out a little bit more. This phase, this will be a 2-shot range now, but the next phase will be a way more favorable 2-shot range. So it's like, what range do you want, the Dondozo or the Tatsuguri? And the Tatsuguri can be very dangerous. But yeah, you do thankfully get a free heal in between this phase and the next phase. I think without a free heal, it could be very spooky. Tail Whip, I don't think helps me because I'm attacking specially. But Arven can help. Order Up's the best move because it has no secondary effect. Yes. Oh, you would miss Takedown. It's 85% accurate. That's okay. That's okay. We're just gonna get all the bad RNG out on this run because we are already behind. We're gonna get all the good RNG in the next runs. So the Tatsuguri is a very light Pokemon. Obviously, it's everyone's favorite meme combination of Gen 9. Tatsuguri, I cannot use Grass Knot. I'll have to use Flower Trick. And if I don't forget, I have to X attack. I've been forgetting that a couple times. Our first X attack, which
it's the first X item of the run.
Yeah, increased by 2 stages, effectively doubling our attack. That's all you need to know. Tatsuguri is really dangerous because Muddy Water can lower accuracy, Icy Wind can lower speed, and Dragon Pulse will do a lot of damage. Icy Wind into Dragon Pulse is almost always fatal. In fact, I think it is. Because Icy Wind will drop your speed by a stage, and then it's faster than you. So it could hit you with Icy Wind and Dragon Pulse, and you would just die. Wait, did the Greedent miss takedown again?
I think it tail whipped.
Oh, I mean, he couldn't do it because of the taunt.
Yeah.
Taunt is what you definitely want to see. Because it doesn't do damage. It's like, hey, you have to hit me now. See, after all that, I still save time.
Yeah, the one nice thing about, like, Muddy Water, one of the nice things is, you know, it's not very effective against you, so it doesn't do a ton of damage. And the drop actually doesn't matter too much for you because Flower Trick can't miss.
It can't.
It's an accuracy bypassing move.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So it can make the Greedent miss, which can be pretty bad.
Yeah. But I mean, he did take the accuracy drop from the first Muddy Water. I just dodged it. But yeah, Icy Wind into Dragon Pulse is dangerous. It's not... You won't always see it because the Tatsuguri does use a lot of random moves. It'll use Taunt, it'll use Muddy Water, and Dragon Pulse is only single target, so he could target the Greedent instead of you. So in a run like this... You'd be like, it would be safe to heal out of getting KO'd by Dragon Pulse, but in a PB attempt, never. You would never heal in a PB attempt. It would just be so slow. It's just like, just don't get hit. Quite simple. So we've defeated our 5 Titans, which means Miraidon has now all of its power-ups. As you mentioned, Cloth of Speed, Earthworm is high jump. Bombardier gives us the ability to swim. And Iron Treads gives us the ability to glide. And then finally, Tatsugiri gives us the ability to rock climb. None of that matters now, because now we're just going to fight Arven, who this whole time has basically commissioned us to help him defeat the Titans to earn the Herba Mystica, not to shiny hunt with, but to heal his Mabostiff. So his dog was very sick, and now he's much better because he eats delicious Herba Mystica infused sandwiches. And all the companions will have like a final boss fight for their storylines. And of course, we're going to fight Arven now. Arven's team is very tough. Even casually, it really threw me off guard, because once I learned, like, your dog is sick, we have to go fight the Titans, guys. Like, I literally rushed this casually because I was like, we need to heal your sick dog. And then he's just like, hey, we're ready to battle now. It's like, okay, I'll meet you there. His levels are much, much higher. Like, he's on par with, like, almost fighting the Elite Four. But obviously, we haven't fought any gyms yet. So his Pokemon...
Actually, I was going to say, level-wise, he's actually basically...
champion level?
Like the third Elite Four member.
Yeah.
Like, because his team scales up. It's like 58 to 63, where all of the Elite Four members are like a single level. So the second Elite Four member is 58. And I want to say the champion's final Pokemon is 63. So he's like right in the middle there.
Yeah, it really threw me off guard when I tried to fight him casually. But we almost run into the same problem, is that we've gotten to level 53, and that's it. Arven will out-level us. Despite us doing the Halloween hunt or the all candy picking, we don't overdo it. This is like the minimum number of candies that we needed to be able to win this fight. So Arven is going to be over-leveled to us, and we are going to hopefully not die, A. B, we will set up to not +2, but +4, so I'll use 2x attacks. At that damage output, we should be able to one-hit all of his Pokemon. There's one thing that could be a little bit different. I'll mention it if it comes up. But the key here with the Arven fight is that he will lead his Greedent, and the Greedent will spam Body Slam, which will do approximately half damage to us, with a 30% chance. Come on, get the fly point. With a 30% chance to paralyze us.
Hardest fly in the game.
It really is. So we need to hope he does a little less than half damage to us both hits while we use our 2x attacks, and he doesn't paralyze us. If he does paralyze us, I do have a single full restore. And if he paralyzes me again, I have a single full heal, in which I would once again have to hope he does a little less than half damage on both of those hits. You can see how all this is starting to stack up. Arven has a good chance to beat us on this fight.
We love a Pokemon speedrun flowchart.
Yeah.
If half damage, hope for low range, use heal, X attack. Okay, now we gotta switch.
Yep. So at my HP and defense stat, which I said were like bare minimum, which is 22 IV HP and 24 IV defense. Sounds above average, right? The Greedent has a 24% chance to hit me, and that's without crits. Now, if you're like 30 and 30, he only has like a 0.3% chance to KO you, and it's a lot safer. But this is the Sprigatito I was dealt, and this is the one we're gonna run. And now I think you might understand why I haven't beaten Arven in a long time. There was one point where I was determined to like beat, like I lost to him, and I was like, I'll just pick up another full restore somewhere. He paralyzed me 5 turns in a row. I was having a time. But it's all worth it because Arven's theme is an absolute banger. something something. His dad is the professor. Something something. It's not all that important.
I thought his mom was the professor.
I think they're both the professors.
The mom doesn't really come up in Violet, and the dad doesn't really come up in Scarlet. From what
Yeah.
like they don't.
Yeah. I only played through Scarlet, which is. I mean, I've done a run of Violet, but my casual file is Scarlet, so that's how I experience the story. It's kind of interesting, just how people perceive the story and stuff because of that.
I think it's an interesting. Look, I give this game a lot of grief for a lot of reasons that I think are really deserved, but I think there are some really interesting shifts to the Pokemon formula here. And my overall opinion is just I wish the game had 2 more years to cook before it was served, because
Just let them cook.
it would be really good if it just had a little more time in the oven.
Well, let Arvin cook. I mean, he does make us sandwiches the whole time.
True.
True.
All right, so here's the moment of truth. The greetings. I will X attack, and he will body slam. Okay, that was a decently low roll. And he didn't paralyze. Okay. Here's body slam 2. Woo! Woo! 4 HP in a
we're
dream, baby!
And we are off.
Yeah.
This is how the fight's supposed to go. You really want to be an overgrow for the end of this fight.
Yeah. So I found out the hard way that if you full restore and then attack, you're only at about half HP, which you don't get the extra 50% boost to your grass type moves. His sick dog, which is no longer sick, the Mabostiff, lived my flower trick at the end. So in that case, I think I use Leafage here because I am in Overgrow.
Yeah, one of the main. So in addition to being able to KO the Mabostiff at the end, being in Overgrow allows you to skip a lot of Flower Tricks, and Flower Trick is a really slow animation. So Grass Knot is faster than Flower Trick, and Leafage is super fast.
Oh! How did
Wait, what?
That didn't die.
Why not?
I don't know. I use Grass Knot and I'm in Overgrow.
Do you have the? Did you ever equip the Miracle Seed?
Yeah. Miracle Seed's equipped.
Huh.
That had to have been the lowest roll I've ever seen. That's new to me. That's never happened before.
Wow.
And I'm adamant too, so. Oh, I'm just gonna quick double check, but
I'm gonna double check this in the notes real quick. Yeah.
so yeah, I have the Miracle Seed equipped.
Oh, you're supposed to Leafage if you're in Overgrow. Grass Knot is only if you skip Adamant.
Oh, you Leafage the Garganockle?
Yeah.
I don't even have that anywhere in my notes. I have Grass Knot, Overgrow, or Flower Trick.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Leafage, Overgrow, or Flower Trick, and then you Grass Knot in Overgrow if you've skipped Adamant.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna edit my notes real quick. Leafage in Overgrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, Flower Trick.
Otherwise, Flower Trick. So I'm gonna delete that line, and then just to confirm, the Cloister is a Leafage in Overgrow.
Cloister is a Leafage in Overgrow or Grass Knot if not.
Okay, that's exactly what I have. Okay, we are. Listen. Whew, that's just shaking off the rust of this run. We are a little bit behind, so it probably wasn't going to PB off the bat, but you kind of got a good gist of the run. But yeah, Adolf, I'll hand things over to you so we can take our break before our next attempt.
Yeah, so gamers, as you may know, obviously this is not the end of this show. We're just going to take a brief break, give everybody a chance to stretch their legs and everything. But we will be right back with more PB Precipice, the next full attempt of this category. So if you liked what you saw, stick around because you're going to see it again, and hopefully a little bit faster and potentially with better luck. and we're hoping to see a PB today. So everybody stick around. There will be more PB Precipice, more T-Pat, and more Pokemon right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. My name is Adef, and this is PB Precipice. We just had a wonderful attempt of Pokemon Violet Path of Legends by T-Pat. We're going to have another attempt here in just a second. Some announcements first, though. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the daily speedrunning content. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to press that like button, baby. Press the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also worth mentioning, the channel, T-Pat's channel, is also available in the description of the YouTube video. Not to mention the gamers in Twitch should also drop him a follow. But T-Pat, whenever you're ready to give this next attempt a go, please feel free.
Yeah, well, thank you, Adaf, and thank you for everybody that is following. It certainly does mean a lot to me. I'm just gonna I'm loading in the game basically as close to the attempt as possible. As we kind of mentioned, we're trying to circumvent the amount of lag as much as possible. So I'm gonna get started basically right as I enter the game, just to give the game as little opportunity as possible to lag me out. And who knows, that might help me in these again, these first 3 minutes. All right, as soon as the game is entered, I'll count us in. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, go. And
All right.
it's the only time you'll ever see a Pokemon unevolve.
Yeah.
that Meowscarada's back to Sprigatito.
Exactly. So just for anybody who is just tuning in now or anything like that, what we're doing here is a Path of Legends speedrun. This is a single story run, is the way we call it, where the only objective is not to beat the game, but instead to beat the storyline that is called the Path of Legends in the game. So this is the one that has the 5 Titans that will give your ride Pokemon Miraidon its powers. Once we beat those Titans and then we finish off the story with another final boss battle, that is it for the run. So that's why even though if you look on the leaderboards, this game is 5.5 hours long. This category is only about an hour. So we're gonna start off here. This is kind of like a mini version of what all Scarlet and Violet speedruns are going to look like. We are going to make 0 progress toward our objectives and instead pick up a bunch of items and TMs, rare candies, things like that.
Okay, I'm actually
that was... Yeah, okay.
I got spawn camped.
I would reset that.
I would... and would
that
it be
was so bad.
And would it be PB Precipice without one early game reset?
That was amazing.
In my head, I was like, please no hop-ups at the top of where you get spawned back. And then there's 4 that just like cling on to me here.
That's a kind of unique movement tech that we didn't really discuss. But basically the game has this, I think it's called like a helper.
There's no fall damage, but if you fall really far, it'll bring you back up. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, if you fall a long distance, specifically not on your ride Pokemon, that is important, then you will get a prompt that says, like, do you want to go back up? And you can use that to make progress while you're down, like pick up an item, or in some other categories, you use it to get a fly point, and then warp back up, and that way you still did whatever you needed to do off the cliff, but you can continue your movement up top.
The prompt only lasts for so long, but there's a pretty big window for it. This run, we do it twice.
The other time is the rare candy.
Yep, we do it to get Grass Knot, and then in the rare candy. I just can't believe those hop-ups they've been spawn camping me like the last 24 hours here.
Yeah.
You usually will go back up in the same spot every time. I've seen one situation where it like threw me somewhere completely different, and I was like, where am I? It's very weird, but yeah, please no hop-ups this time. So you'll see that Y go back up, and I'm just mashing the Y button from there. Okay, that's actually better. That was actually a slightly different spot it sent me to. It was close, but at least there were no Pokemon there. That's what's important. See, we only lost a minute and a half of IRL time to have now a better attempt. That's just what gaming is about, right? Oh, that Fletchlinger was a good candidate to set up Overgrow. I didn't recognize it in time. Basically looking for poison or flying types. There we go. And you see
while we're doing this movement, we're going to pick up a few experience candies. These experience candies, the medium one gives us 3,000 experience, and the large one gives 10,000.
Okay. Pick up the item. Okay. Not that. Ah! There I used the Let's Go feature not to lose that battle, but to pick up the candy, because there was no way I was going to be able to get inside those 5 Go-Goats to squeeze past them to pick up the candy. I would have gotten an encounter. So that was a little trickier than I wanted it to be. Any flying types? Again, otherwise I'm in the same situation. Here you are. As soon as it engages, I can fly away. So
yeah, we're trying to lose those auto battles to lose health to knock us below 1/3 health, which puts us in Overgrow, which makes our grass moves 50% stronger. And so the first Titan we're going to face here is Cloth, which having extra strong grass moves is very nice.
Weirdly enough, I might be in red bar because picking up the candy with the auto feature. I did lose even more health. I was basically at 1 HP before evolving. So I'm going to be well into Overgrow. It matters not, because we'll now be able to one-shot the Cloth. So it's not like dangerous. We're not going to get hit with quick attack or anything like that. And then you'll see me do that drop down for this next candy right here. By the way, that item right in front of me is a Hasty Mint. That is picked up in any percent.
Yeah, Hasty is plus speed, which is very, very nice. There's a lot of speed thresholds you want to hit in the run. But those aren't really useful in this category.
Ooh, get out of the way.
The only fight that you would want speed for is the Tatsugiri.
Yeah.
And it's just, you'd rather have the attack or the special attack there.
I'm going to be a little extra careful around that Makihita.
How do you both feel about like the sort of tending in Pokemon? Like overall, I think it's probably good towards like ability to change nature, change IVs, like probably good in general.
Yes, I think it's good. I think there's like one feature that's still missing that if they add it, it's like basically perfect. Which is you can increase your IVs using bottle caps, but there's no way to decrease them. And decreasing them can be useful specifically for speed and attack. 0 speed is good for like a trick room kind of team if you're playing competitive. And 0 attack is good for any special attacker because you deal less damage to yourself when you like are confused or something. But yeah, I think overall the ability to change your nature, change your ability. They still make them like really hard to get and like really expensive. But I think overall it's really good.
I feel the same way. And it's great that in this game there are just mints around the ground and they're not like locked behind the last post-game area. So it was really interesting to be like, ooh, there's an adamant mint here. That could definitely be useful. And it's right before the first gym, too.
Yeah, the fact that like we lucked out with the fact that they're like one of the best 2 ability or 2 natures you can get for our any percent speedrun main just happen to be on the path. Like you don't have to go out of your way at all for them. We got really lucky with that.
So this time you will be able to see me one-shot Cloth because I'm at 8 HP. Usually I'm 22, but well into Overgrow, or as we like to call Torrent, because every starter ability is just Torrent to us.
I don't know why. I've started saying Blaze. And I don't even run a game that like you need Blaze for.
Yeah, but like you always just pick the fire starter casually.
Yeah.
So that might be why. Yeah, we're ahead. Green splits. Woo!
Huge.
That's a great way to set the tone for the run now. And then, yeah, then we get a little downtime. This would be a good time to mention that I am using a turbo controller, with this game being, I believe, the first game where turbo is allowed on the main leaderboard. Turbo is now allowed for all Switch games. Some of them are on the same leaderboard, some are separate leaderboards, but this one is just really promoting hand health, especially for a 5.5 hour run where there are some very text-heavy cutscenes. So instead of me having to be like, okay, I need to focus on my button mashing, and then you just hear click, 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 click of my thumbs. It's just, I'm able to just hold that A button down. We only allow one button to be turboed at any given time, but I will switch between the A or the B button being turboed in certain situations. It can get me in trouble because B is also like the jump button for Miraidon. And if it's turboed, it will only do these little short hops, and sometimes I want the long jump, which would be holding down B, so I have to be a little careful about when to unturbo buttons as well. But I'm mostly getting it down. But yeah, these cutscenes are nice. Sometimes I can like check a text message or a Discord message or see who's winning the basketball games. How's everybody's brackets doing? Mine's awful. Mine's awful.
I should check mine. Let's see.
Of course, I'm wearing my Gonzaga shirt today.
Are you a Gonzaga alum?
I'm not a Gonzaga alum. I live in Spokane, Washington, which is where Gonzaga is from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, working for the TV station, we cover them. Like, we got a crew. We got a crew in Denver right now.
Wait. When did KU get upset? What?
Yesterday.
Last night, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Kansas lost to Arkansas.
All right, my bracket's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I lost that in the Final Four, too. I had Virginia in the Final Four. How do you think I felt after the second game of the day?
My Final Four, 3 of my Final Four are still in, but the problem is I usually pick KU because I'm from Kansas City. And so there's that, but also they're a surefire bet to do well because they're always first or second seed and they're really good.
Yeah, well, they won last year. They won the whole thing last year.
Yeah, and my bracket did well as a result.
Yeah. Here's the weird thing. The last 6 national champions have lost in the first or the second round in the following year.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a fun fact I saw on the Twitter this morning.
All right, well, my bracket is toast now, so all I want is Farley Dickinson to win it all. That's all I want.
So they were playing during the Gonzaga game yesterday, and I was at a restaurant to watch with my friends, and it was happening at the same time. And in the second half, no one was watching Gonzaga. We were all watching Farley Dickinson beat Purdue. It was quite the time to see like 200 Gonzaga fans, and no one is cheering for the game. It's just like, they're up by 12, whatever. But this game is hype.
Isn't this only the second time that a 16 seed has made it out of the first round?
Correct.
And wasn't the first time like last year?
It was I think it was 2019.
Oh, okay.
And it was UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, beating the #1 overall seed, Virginia. I watch sports. I'm sorry if that is boring to some of you.
No, we love a Cinderella story.
Listen, no encounters so far, so I probably just jinxed it, but you know...
You had to say something.
I don't know why that jump always scares me, it just does. By the way, there's a little ledge like halfway down that little cliff that you can just land on because you can't access your menu until like you are flat on the ground. So there's nice that there's like this little halfway point. Small optimizations, and it's not snowing in Dali Zappa Passage. Is that how you say it?
Dali Zappa, yeah.
Come on, this is like the toughest BLJ of the game.
I found a consistent way to do it, but I have to be like lined up.
Pick up the candy. Oh, another. You were in the same spot as the Mudstale. Okay, we out.
Yeah, and something else that's interesting is any of the categories that use Flamigo as the main will also go a little bit further up that rock that we call Ratio Rock. And
do we call it Ratio Rock?
We do call it Ratio Rock. And they'll get the Acrobatics TM. And Acrobatics is a very, very useful move because it is a 55 power move, which is not very high. But it doubles in power if you're not holding an item, which is really funny because this is probably the game that has the most accessible held items of like any Pokemon game, and we just don't use them for the speedrun because Acrobatics is better.
It's so good. Wait, I just went the wrong way. I did the any percent movement. Can I get down there? I'm gonna try. Hey, saved.
Damn, Princeton's still in too? This is great.
Yeah, 15 seed in the Sweet 16. I think that's the second or third time that's happened.
I have my final four is Alabama, Marquette, Xavier, and Kansas. So 3 of the 4 are still in, but I'm losing my bracket group by virtue of my national champion's not in anymore.
I picked Marquette to win it all, being from Milwaukee. That is what I went for.
I used to follow college ball more religiously, but now I'm at the point where like I go based off my knowledge from 10 years ago. And then I look at the seed and I'm like, yeah, they'll probably do fine.
I was just telling one of my friends right before the Gonzaga game, they don't know a whole lot about college basketball. They're just like, oh, they're a 3 seed, so they should win easily. And I'm like, no one is safe. No one is safe in this tournament. And then Purdue lost.
Somebody in chat says, yeah, but Princeton beat Mizzou, ADEF. How does that make you feel? Well, you know, a good portion of my family are big MU fans, no doubt. I personally am preferable to KU, but, you know, I get it. I understand it. It does not upset me. I don't know. I think the story of a 15 seed making it into Sweet 16 is more interesting to me than, like, the MU Tigers making it to the Sweet 16 and then losing.
Okay. Well, I almost threw that run by going the any percent way. And I was like, hey, wait a second. Oh. Recovered. I was like, I think that little tunnel thingy goes through.
Yeah, that's another tough thing about this game if you run multiple categories, because they all have very similar movement sections, but they all have their little quirks. And so you can't just follow like any percent movement if you're doing Path of Legends or if you're doing Victory Road.
Like that candy is extra in this category versus any percent. Whereas in any percent, you would go get that fly point from the center. Of course, I look away and I get hit with a Diglett encounter. Oh no! I got arena trapped.
You can just kill it. That is really unfortunate.
That's really sad.
It has
not a problem.
It has a chance to have a different ability, right?
Yes.
What also stunk is that I willingly did not pick up the Poké Doll, which would have allowed me to escape arena trap as well. Ah, that's kind of a bummer. That had a little sequence like that. Please do not hit me, Varooms. What's Varoom's deal anyways? They're just the Starmobiles.
They're just cars.
They are literally just cars. I guess this game was really into like cars and motorcycles. Oh, there's just one that just like shot in front of me.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just focusing. Don't worry, I'll just do this menu better compared to last time. Whew, okay. Okay, we're all good. It's just, when a Varoom just like flies across the screen, you're just like, ah, look out. It's like, sir, you didn't have the green lights. It's really scary when like a horde of 5 of them spawn and you're just like, oh god. Or a spear, please. You know, that reminds me. Etiquette, you wouldn't happen to know. Am I allowed to sell the Swift TM before time begins?
Not before. No.
Damn, okay.
Is that 200? Oh, you want to get rid of it.
I want to get rid of it so I have a faster menu, both to teach Grass Knot and Aurasphere.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately.
Because I almost did it, and it's like, I should ask a leaderboard mod about this.
No one would have known.
Yeah, just do it. No one would have known. Except for the people accepting the runs.
Save 1 second.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning you can't just do any save file up to that point. In order to, you can't just use any save file at the school. There are some requirements. So if you are trying to set up a save file for this game, definitely make sure you check the leaderboards and check the rules. Luckily, the rules are the same between categories in terms of like the single story categories. Sometimes your setup's going to be a bit different. Like this category obviously uses the grass starter. The other categories, a lot of them use the fire starter. So if you want to run them all, you may need multiple save files, but you can't just use anything. You do have to set it up. It's nothing too wild or unexpected. It's just not a lot of extra stuff,
yeah,
for example.
It's just trying to prevent people from taking advantage of the start point, because we're starting the game effectively 48 minutes in from the beginning and after the starter pick. So it's just like, who's to say that I couldn't just like fight every trainer and get more money, or fight every wild encounter and get more experience, or pick up extra items and rare candies and just be at a higher level. It's just like, you would think there might be ways to take advantage of that rule set. So we've made a rule set that very specifically says, hey, you can only fight required trainers. We allow 1 rare candy pickup, but nothing else. And it's like, you're allowed to check to catch the tutorial Lechonk, but you can't fight any other wilds. So it's like, we very much had to word it in such a way that's like, don't cheat. It's like, please have the same starting file like in any situation. So the only advantage you can do from there is your starter resets. Yeah, most of that time loss on that split was me doing the wrong pathing. I kind of went to the right, and I was like, wait. And when I said wait a second, was the moment I realized that I went a little too far. It didn't cost me a ton of time, and plus I took an extra encounter, which was very slow because of the arena trap. But we're still fine. This is still, I think, a little better than even the last run was.
How do we feel about, like, I mean, Etiquette, you've obviously done a lot of any percent as well. How do you feel about the first 40 minutes of the run?
It's actually kind of funny because there's such a difference between the single story runs and an any percent run. Or I find with the single story runs, if I like take a path that's a little too far left, I'm like, I should reset. For any percent, I will like run into 4 Pokemon and be like, nope, I can't reset. I'm not going through the 45 minutes again. Like, it's such a difference between them.
I, for a while, was feeling very much pressured in any percent to not screw up the first. After those first 48 minutes, there's like 2 minutes until you get Flamigo. And again, if you hit an encounter, your run just dies because you're under-leveled and you're outsped. But so like you just can't run away. And it's like, well, there goes 50 minutes of my life because then you're forced to reset and you have to play the introduction again. So I was feeling like a lot of pressure from the school moment to catching Flamigo. Once you caught Flamigo, it was like, okay, I have a Pokemon that can run away from encounters now.
Yeah.
So it's like your run doesn't die, you just lose time. But yeah, if Coco hits a wild encounter and the wild encounter is level 22, your run's just kind of over. But that's why Treasure Hunt became a very popular category for us, because now if we hit an encounter, it's like, oh, I only lost 2 minutes and not 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's one of the best things is the fact that Treasure Hunt exists. It's just not part of the problem with it right now is it's considered a secondary category on speedrun.com, so it's kind of hidden and people may not know it exists. But it's quite literally any percent just without the bad parts. So like it's a really fun category. And the nice thing is, even though it is kind of touted as any percent without the bad parts, it also does have some specific tech related specifically to Treasure Hunt. Just because you don't have to worry about doing the end game.
Do you still pick up the Rash Mint?
No.
I've been thinking about skipping it. I just know that in classic Etiquette fashion, you have a big spreadsheet.
No, I skip it. I don't find with my particular cat, my the fights I do, like it doesn't make ranges better. It makes like a 3 and 16 into an 8 and 16 or something. So
You don't want that increase? You don't want that 60% increase?
well, I'm really big on taking extra time to guarantee something as opposed to taking extra time to make something more likely. So like a good example is in any percent. There's a particular Pokemon that is always a range. You can never guarantee it, no matter what your attack is. You can guarantee it if you have like really high attack. If you go out of your way to get extra, like extra rare candies and stuff. And so that would end up being a case where I would do it. But if I'm just turning something from 50% to 60% with a time investment, then that's not typically worth it to me. It really depends on what it is, though.
In other words, just hit the range.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with a lot of things. It's like, I could just hit the range. I could just get lucky.
That's a winner's mindset.
In a category like this where it's so short, sometimes you can just sort of do that.
I'm going to do this movement a little better. Because last time I actually started cutting towards the town, and I was like, wait, I don't need to actually go to the town, because we don't fight the gyms. We don't need the fly point. Instead, listen, if that was ratio rock, this is ratio field.
This whole stretch from here until you get the cutscene at Bombardier, it's like
it's ratio field,
terrifying.
ratio field at Olive Roll Arena.
Opposite of adamant is modest, right?
yes.
Okay, that's pretty good. Do you find the BLJs with high jump are easier or more difficult?
I think they are easier.
Should have been careful by that tree. I think there was a Pokemon under it. So far, so good. Seems extra bright. I'm really worried about like Caspa Kids and Nimbles now. So far, so good. Someone once commented on one of my YouTube VODs on this game that was just like, I was so impressed by your focus. And it's like, I'm sure I'm just like staring at the screen in the most weird look right now. This is like a moment where my mom would be like, get back from the TV, you're gonna hurt your eyes. Okay, these are the Cocoa Puffs. Uh-oh. I think I could squeeze by that. Okay, all good, all good. Less exclamations in that movement this time. Whew. Yeah, what I tried one time was when I was climbing down the mountain, I was like, oh yeah, just use Aura Sphere, which is 80 base powered. That's super effective against Iron Treads would be basically base 160 power. And I'm like, that's pretty strong. But if you think about Flower Trick, which is... What's Flower Trick? Is it...
It's 70, but it always crits, so it's like 105.
70 and always crits, so it's 105. Plus its stab, which is a 50% boost, so that's almost like 160-ish. Plus the Miracle Seed, another 20%. And you're looking at like 180 and change in terms of just base power. Plus, by doing that menu, you go from 51 to 53 and get that extra attack boost. So that's why Flower Trick ends... Or Grass Knot. Yeah, Grass Knot...
Gotcha.
Grass Knot, we still do 120 base power. So it ends up just being more powerful to do it that way. See, in this case, I did miss the coin flip, but I didn't lose a turn because Arvin usually goes for Rock Throw, which can miss. I think it's 95% accuracy.
Yes. Yeah, it can.
That came out even. Yeah, it's fine. I had good movement, but I did bonk a little bit when I was in Mesagoza. Again, splitting hairs over seconds. Category like this kind of makes me nervous. I actually really enjoy long Pokemon categories. Not like super long, not like Catch-a-Ball long. But longer Pokemon categories, I do always feel a little bit more relaxed because I feel like I have more margin. Oh, I bonked there. Whatever. It's a second.
Yeah, exactly.
But in a category where it's less than an hour, and those seconds do matter, so I always feel a little bit more tense, especially in like movement sections, or a little bit more frustrated that I hit one extra encounter. Because like you said, you get 4 extra encounters in any percent, you're like, oh, well, that's a bummer, but you could just do better on the Olive Roll, and then it's all better, or vice versa.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I always liked Galarian Star.
Yeah. Man, we did that race, and you were getting the most insane luck ever on your Legends.
It really was.
You were just like, oh, hey, first ball again. Oh, I first balled the Registeel. Oh, I first balled the Zacian. And it's like, man, this was my chance to catch up, and you're just first balling everything. It's still a fun run. I'd like to say I feel the same way about Legends Arceus Catch 'em All. That's the longest category I've ever done. Ooh, that category can be like really chill or like really frustrating, like all at the same time. I think it's funny that that Let's Go Catch 'em Alls is a shorter category than any percent of this game.
Yep.
And Let's Go Catch 'em All is actually a really chill run.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be stressful at all. Like, it can be if you're on good pace and you need like that last 1%.
Yeah, but it's not like a high skill stress. It's just like, oh, I'm just resetting the route. It like doesn't take any effort. It's just more mentally draining than it is physically draining. Legends Arceus is physically draining. There should be like a controller cam for that game, because that can be pretty wild. All right, we set the bar pretty low last time for this movement. Let's do this slide here. Perfect. Now I'm going to menu. Much better menu.
All right, let's get the movement.
Whee! See, I didn't get a big landing spike there. And there's the slide. See, this is what it should look like. See if I can. Oh, okay. It kind of met me halfway.
It worked.
I was gonna get the harsh landing, but then it went into the slide, so I'll take that. So that actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, that was really clean.
And then you'll see the Iron Shreds move over here, to which I will meet him for battle. And see, that is... remember last time I was like waiting in that spot in the desert? You do your menus and your landings clean, and you can meet Iron Shreds in that spot, which is an advantage for Violet, because the Iron Shreds is closer to you than the Great Tusk.
Yep.
But it puts a little more pressure on making sure you do it right. Otherwise, you'll miss the cycle, and then it's no better. Yeah, it's no better than an auto scroller at that point. An auto scroller in my open world game? I don't think so. Also, really, really small and subtle things I'm doing. I'm intentionally dismounting before some cutscenes, because kind of like in Legends Arceus, where you have to be like standing still before cutscenes activate, the game will force you to dismount Miraidon and make you stand still before the cutscene activates. So I'll dismount, and when you can do it, you can dismount by like flinging your body forward, keeping some momentum, and then you're just ready to dismount. And
yeah, you don't see it a lot in this category, but that's really useful going in and out of like building or going into buildings. So like the gyms and stuff like that. If you watch an any percent run or a Victory Road run, you'll see people dismounting into the doors. But yeah, it's an interesting piece of tech for sure.
He got the flinch on Scovillian, so I'm gonna get Scary Face instead of Firefang here. Again, if I had higher special attack, this would be a more favorable range. That second hit was really good. That first hit was not. But I should definitely save time. Only a couple seconds here. And split. Okay, a couple extra. Didn't gold split it, but that had to have been pretty close. Because that looked. I didn't gold split because I had an extra turn. If I would have gotten the 2-shot, that would have been even better. So we're close. I genuinely think that my Tatsuguri split is the split I can save the most time on. Because I just know the lake is really laggy. Forward. Oh, I'm on the last page of my notes. I love that I do have Tatsuguri's Dragon Pulse like all listed out in its damage ranges, but once you have your cat, you only need one line. I do love all of Arvin's themes. The sandwich theme.
There are a couple songs in the game that are really good. But there are also, conversely, a few songs in the game that, like, don't fit.
Yeah. It's weird because I hear, like, a lot of accordion, and I'm like, this feels very Kalos-y / French, and not so much Paldean / Spanish. But I'll say this, my favorite themes for this game is any theme that is heavy on the acoustic guitar. And I hear them outside of, like, the poison bass and the fire bass. And I'm like, these go hard. Like, the acoustic guitar fits so well for, like, non-battle themes. Route themes, if you will.
I would say, by the same, maybe the opposite token, the electric guitar stuff does not fit, in my opinion.
I do love the star themes, because I'm just
those
a
are
natural
fine.
headbanger.
No, those are fine. But the like, route theme electric guitar stuff...
Yeah.
There's one route theme in particular that I haven't touched the game in like a month, but there's one in particular that I remember hearing and just being like, what is happening right now? This does not belong.
Etiquette, figure out which one that is.
I'm trying to think. What I was gonna mention is there's a lot of I like the like main if this game had a main theme. I like the main theme, right? It's the sort of like you got introduced to the adventure and all that kind of stuff. That's a really good theme. They use it or like a variation of it for so many of the routes and areas that it's like it's a really cool theme, but I need a break from it.
Yeah, very fair. I'm sure if I played the game for a half hour, I would hear the song that I'm talking about. It's probably played today on stream, but I can't hear the game feed, so.
I could hum it. That would be very...
No, thank you.
That would be very, very Corvame of me to do that.
Does the... a question for the gamers. Does the moon have phases in this game?
I don't think so.
No idea.
I know it does in Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
But I've only ever seen it full in this game.
Because I never paid any attention.
And yes, looking straight up at the sky prevents lag. Like, I'm not just doing it because I like the sky, because I do. But it does prevent lag in that situation.
We do that in Breath of the Wild speedrunning sometimes too. Except it's not to prevent... Usually it's not to prevent lag that's just like in the environment. It's usually to prevent lag we are creating from doing glitches.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that game came out 5 years before this game on the same console and looks way better.
Interesting.
I wonder why that is.
Pretty nutty.
All right, so I didn't have to menu there because I didn't take damage because I hit the range. Hooray!
That's a really nice range to hit.
And since I don't have to menu, it gives the lake less opportunity to just spawn stuff and lag the game. Because if I menu in the lake, I come out of that menu and it's frame rate. It looks like that one Castlevania game that runs at like 8.3 frames per second.
Castlevania 64?
I think that's the one. I just remember first hearing about it. I'm just like, what is this game? This is hilarious.
N64 games don't they don't really do frame rate. That's not really a thing that they
Aren't
do.
exactly known for high FPS.
It was the early days of 3D.
Yeah, so since I didn't menu beforehand, I'm still a rash nature. I'm still plus special attack and not plus attack. So this range is more favorable, but then the Tatsugiri range is less favorable. Oh, don't paralyze me. Ah, it did it before I said it.
Why'd you say it?
It did it before I said it. Okay, hit through. It's still
Nice.
It's still what, 75% to hit through.
Yeah, and Dondozo, like the other bad thing about getting paralyzed, obviously, is your speed goes down. But Dondozo has like 35 base speed. It's incredibly slow.
They didn't want it to be busted with the commander pairing because the Tatsugiri and Dondozo doubles Dondozo's stats. But if it had like good speed, it would be insane. So it needed like kind of mediocre speed. I remembered the X attack, which is good. Sometimes I forget that. Okay, good. I got the taunts. Because now if I get Tail Whip from the Greedent, that guarantees a 2-shot range. That's like the only weird thing that can happen is that if you get Taunt on Greedent and it tries to Tail Whip, you're just like, well, that was kind of a waste. So that's why you do want to delay. Whew. Like I said, Dragon Pulse does a lot of damage. That's why you do want to delay the Adamant Mint, because you are more likely to get this as a 2-shot because of Tail Whip. Or it could just, or the Greeting could chip damage and it's effectively the same thing. But because I'm Rash, I am minus special defense, and that is why Dragon Pulse did a lot of damage. Hey, fun fact, everybody.
I was gonna say
We're ahead.
Let's go.
That was an insanely good split. I'd like to know how much I gold split that by, because that was insane.
We're really on the precipice right now, I would say.
Woo! Please, Arvid, please, for once in your life, let me win. We get to think about it for this whole cutscene, though.
I know, this cutscene is very long, and the worst part. So another common question that pretty much anybody who speedruns this game will get asked is, why don't you turn on the movie skip or the cutscene skip option in the options? We do.
We do.
These are not considered cutscenes.
I couldn't believe that when I turned it on and it didn't skip anything, because I had played the first like 4 hours of the game and then I found a little skip and I was like, wait, is this viable? And so I did a playthrough from the beginning to like see if it was worthwhile. And so I turned on cutscene skip because I was like, oh, well, I don't need to watch any of those again. And then every single cutscene still played. And I was like, what is happening?
So
you know what's funny is
kind of funny.
There's still a cutscene that plays in any percent. It's the Nimona final fight. There's a cutscene before the battle and after the battle, and not like a text mashing cutscene, like a true cutscene, like an uninteractable cutscene.
Yeah,
that still plays.
That's what I was gonna say. Like in Let's Go, every game since Let's Go has had, well, BDSP didn't count, but every game since Let's Go has had some version of a cutscene skip, and they were all, don't really skip these kinds of cutscenes, but they're at least consistent with what they skip. They skip movies, things that will auto-advance that you don't have to mash through. So a good example, if you've played Sword and Shield, is there's a cutscene where you get introduced to all of the gym leaders. That is a cutscene that gets skipped when you have the option turned on. This game felt like it was going to be the same thing. It was like, all right, here's a pre-rendered movie that gets skipped. Here's mashing cutscenes. These don't get skipped. But like T-Pat said, there are a number of those movies that don't actually get skipped. There's one when you get introduced to Koraidon or Miraidon. There's a couple in like Area 0, the final area of the game. There's a couple surrounding like the end of the Victory Road cutscene. But the reason I brought up cutscene skip is because right here, right now, this is like a 25 second long black screen because there is a cutscene that's like trying to load or something, but it doesn't.
Oh, it's
takes
because
forever.
that's right, because Mabo Stiff is like healthy now. See how he's standing up, and it's so sweet.
I genuinely thought the game just crashed.
No, it's a very long cutscene. There is the end timing for any percent is hilarious because time. It's not written this way in the rules. I really wish it was, but it should be something along the lines of time ends on the first black frame of the 50-second load screen. It is your game is just off for like 50 seconds. And then loads the final cutscene.
When I play this game casually, I was playing in handheld mode. When I got to the end, it was more than a minute. I thought my game crashed. I was just like sitting there looking at a black screen, holding my Switch. I'm just like, did I beat the game, or do I have to do? When did I last save?
Well, the worst part is some of those black screens will go on indefinitely. There's
one after the olive roll. Crash your game.
One before, I've had olive roll not load. It just goes to a black screen and then just never comes out of the black screen.
No, I've never had that one not load.
Yep, it's a bit rough. So obviously we don't do it for this because you want to keep the save file. But in general, running with autosave on is a good idea.
There we go.
All right, so time for another little mashing section and then the final fight.
I still have to use the adamant mint. I'm just trying to hit it in stride. I don't want to sacrifice movement to menu.
Yeah, one thing I like to do in general is I like to menu indoors whenever possible, just because I feel like the menu lags less.
That's kind of my philosophy too. I've tried it both ways. I like it inside buildings. So if there's ever a moment to menu inside a gym, for example, I always do it. Something about the professor. Etiquette, is it weird to see like everybody wearing purple pants instead of orange pants?
It does throw me off a little. I'm not gonna lie.
That's one of the great differences between the two games. Everybody has purple ties instead of orange ties.
Purple. It's the purple with the black, which looks so much better.
It does.
Than the orange with the gray.
So all my splits, I like doing like the split images for my live splits. Yeah. Clavel's official like PNG image is him in the orange coat, and it really throws me off. I'm like, why is Scarlet like the more official of the two games? He looks so much better in Violet. But that's just me. All right, one more fight. So this category is kind of interesting that there's literally only 6 fights, some with multiple phases, but we only face 12 unique species of Pokemon total.
In the whole run?
In this whole run.
Good.
It is the 5 Titans plus Tatsugiri, or plus Dondozo, because those are the 2. And then there's the 6 Pokemon on Arvid.
Well, you faced a Diglett too, for what it's worth.
Oh, that was this run. That's right.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no problem. It's even more impressive that you're ahead by that much.
Oh yeah, because that was a slow encounter too.
Yeah.
I theorized that like my best. Oh, thank you, Rain. My best possible time is probably like a high 53 in like a perfect situation, or like mostly perfect, like no encounters, hit all my ranges, didn't die to Arvin. I could probably get like a 53-30. Yeah, because that was an arena trap encounter, and I had to fight and win it. So that was probably 20 seconds.
Yeah, it went first because it was.
Is this the run where I messed up the movement too?
Yeah, like where you did the any % movement instead.
Yeah, that costed me a good chunk of time too. It's just time save for next time. He said on PB pace. All right, Arvin, no bully.
All right. So we need to set up 2 X items here.
Sign 1. Ooh, I'm gonna just... yeah. He high rolled and paralyzed me. I'm gonna opt to full restore now.
Okay.
Because I just think he's likely to KO me from that health, even if I don't. And I do have the extra full heal anyways. That would have killed me.
All right, so we're looking for...
Looking for don't die and don't para.
Dang.
And that wasn't even a crit either. Man!
Oh,
I was so close!
I have good news for you, T-Pat.
Yes.
You get one more attempt.
Woo! Hopefully we're saving the best for last, am I right?
Yeah. Okay, gamers, we're going to take our next break really quickly here and get into our final attempt just after that. Do not go anywhere. There'll be more PB Precipice right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Games on Quick Hotfix. This is PB Precipice. Some quick announcements. SGDQ 2023 is coming up May 28th through June 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're interested in attending the event, registration is now open until May 3rd. Offsite volunteer submissions are also now open until March 22nd. You got 3 days there. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more info. I will dally no further. T-Pat, take it away.
I'll see you guys there in Minneapolis. Look, I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
I'll be there. Etiquette, you going to be there?
I should be there, yeah.
Wow,
We're gonna have to do a PB Precipice get together.
Yeah, I'll host a little dinner with everybody that's been on PB Precipice before, which at this point is like everyone.
Yeah, well, let's just party with everybody at GDQ.
Yeah, there
all right,
you go.
very quickly in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Such a fun time. I mean, I can't thank everybody enough for like encouraging me to get into speedrunning in the first place, because like you guys are just like the best group of friends I could have ever asked for, and it's just an absolute blast to be a part of the community in the first place. So thank you for being awesome.
Speedrunning's dope.
It's so
It's
fun.
true.
It's so fun. But this time we won't die to Arvin. Right?
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
All right. So for anyone tuning in just now, we are doing the Path of Legends speedrun. This is one of the single story speedruns. So the objective is not to beat the game, but instead to beat the Path of Legends storyline, which is the storyline in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where you defeat the legendary Titans to give your ride Pokemon all of its abilities. And so this is a nice and short category. It's about an hour long. Really beginner friendly, really fun run. And yeah, we are just getting started with our third real attempt of the day.
That was a nice swag slide. I was sliding backwards. You just wheel up that one.
You know, we've made the BLJ joke, but we never actually explained how these work.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.
Basically, this is some movement tech that we can do. We don't really have like an official name. We call them BLJs just because that is a Mario term. But essentially the way that they work is anytime there's a slope that you can slide down, so not a slope that you like run into and bonk, but one that you could like start to run up and then would slide back down. If you instead turn around so that way you are facing down the slope, the game will allow you to jump before you slide. And so we purposely turn around like that, get ourselves to, be facing down the slope, and then we can just sort of jump up at whatever speed you need to. And it's really cool technique. There are a lot of places in the game you can use it. You can get to places that the game doesn't really want you to get yet. For example, this area here, these Pokemon are like level 20, and we're only level 10. So we're not really supposed to be here yet, but you can get up here just by turning around and jumping.
I really hope a flying Pokemon will spawn. Is this Toxel going to be good enough? I don't think so. It is not, but there is a Swablu. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that Mudspray was very enthusiastic. That was a kind of messy overgrowth setup. It's still worth it. I'll still save over not going for it at all. But it was just a little messy because the first auto battle feature that I tried against the Ghastly, I could tell that Sprigatito just ran in a completely different direction. It wasn't going to find that target. So I instead opted to recall and then go for a different Pokemon. So that did take some time. Because when you do the auto battle feature, if you're doing it on foot, your character will basically like do this, let's go, you know, with its arms. But if you're on Miraidon, it like shouts. And you can't move. You're just kind of stuck there for a second. There's a way to do what's called a stop and go. I don't know if it's more difficult, but it's more inaccurate, I find, on Miraidon than it is on foot. So I like to just try to line myself up in the correct way.
Yeah. The feeling is a little bit different. Basically, the way that the stop and go works is you kind of like cancel the send out animation by having the like your character's stopping animation play at the same time that you hit the button. And those animation timings are just like a little bit different between, or they feel a little bit different between riding and not riding. This is rough. What?
Okay. Oh, this is real bad. This is really bad. This is really bad.
And then just drop down. Perfect.
You know what? Getting one encounter feels like what was going to happen. It was just the wrong encounter and made it a little scary. Pokemon can spawn either individually or in hordes of 5. Sometimes when you see hordes of 5, they'll be like these Shinx, for example. There would be like one Luxio or one Luxray in the middle. But since we're still kind of in a beginner area, they don't spawn like their fully evolved counterparts yet. But you'll see that later on. They can be in really... Usually you just dodge them, but sometimes they're in really inconvenient spots where you have to go like that.
Yep, so another thing we mentioned last time, dismounting, just allows you to instantly go into the cutscene instead of having your character dismount as part of the cutscene.
That's the easiest one. Its cutscene's the widest, and you're waiting for Cloth to climb the hill anyways.
Yeah, in most of the other categories, you'll actually find us menuing there because things will still happen in the background when you have the menu open. We can't do that in this category because you have to set up the overgrow, which means you have to have already used your items, so there's no need to go into the menu. But yeah, it's a little interesting thing. It's a really weird thing to get used to, having like the overworld still operate around you while a menu is open. Because you could open the menu and then start doing stuff, and then a Pokemon will like run on top of you. And then
you
as soon as you close the menu, you gotta dodge them. Yeah.
I like Cloth. He blushes. Oh, he's got the little blush marks. Did we figure out like how its stats are boosted in these second phases? Is it like a straight Omni boost or something?
Yeah, so it's actually not like a stat stage situation. It's just the stats are increased. And we do have that information. Let me find a good example, like for Cloth. Whoops, I got to the right channel in Discord and then immediately clicked back on that. All right.
The Starmobiles were another one we were trying to search for a while in terms of
The Starmobiles are wild the way that they work.
The Starmobiles are very weird because there's another mechanic that we don't see in this run, but this game is basically missing two options. One, to turn animations off, and two, battle mode is stuck to switch. There's no switch in set mode. Because what set mode does is when the opponent sends out a new Pokemon, then you go. But in switch, the game will ask you, hey, Armin's about to send out the next Pokemon. Do you want to switch Pokemon? And if you have a second Pokemon, you will always get that prompt. It doesn't come up in this run because we only ever have one Pokemon in our party. But in the star bases, if you're doing any percent, for example, you have to have 3 Pokemon. And if they have multiple Pokemon, it'll ask you, hey, do you want to switch? And you say, nope. However, the Starmobiles come out in set mode. It does not ask you to switch Pokemon before the Starmobile comes out. It is very wonky.
Yeah. So we actually think we know why that happens. But first, so the Titans, the second phases only have increased HP. All of their stats are the same. And so for Cloth, it doubles its health. Bombardier is 20% increase. Orthworm is a 50% increase. The Great Tusk or Iron Treads are both double. Dondozo is a 50% increase. And Tatsugiri is actually a 3 times HP buff. So its HP is actually, it's like almost 500 HP. It's absurd.
Oh my god. 500 HP for that little guy?
It is 483 HP.
Who would have more HP between one giant koi fish or little sushi guy?
But yeah, so the Starmobiles are actually interesting. So the reason we think that they don't give you the option to switch before them is the game doesn't actually have those Starmobiles as like a member of the team. If you're looking at the team in the game, that was weird.
Let's go,
Sure
Siri.
I understand.
Let's go, Siri.
That was my Apple Watch. Anyways, so the Starmobiles aren't actually like members of the team. Instead, what they do is they like overwrite the final Pokemon with the Starmobile. And so they don't give you the option to switch because technically it's like you're still fighting a Pawniard. It's just they overrode it with like this new Pokemon with new stats and stuff. So it's really bizarre how they were they're implemented.
By the way,
But because of that, those Starmobiles don't actually have like base stats or anything. Their stats are literally just set. They just like overwrite the old Pokemon with like now you have 120 defense. Stuff like that.
By the way, that cloth that we see, that wild cloth, is the Titan's cloth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you catch it, it would come with what is called the mark of the Titan. So it'll have a mark if you catch it, and that's the case for all of the Titans. It's funny enough, like if you just like run into it, you won't engage an encounter. You have to interact with it. It's the only wild Pokemon that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I could straight up bonk into that cloth and it wouldn't be a wild encounter, and that's how you can tell.
I still dodge it every time. I go, I'm like not expecting it to be there for some reason. I don't know.
I always say hello. Hey, I'm 3 for 3 in hitting the Zapapico ledge, so I can be happy with that. If nothing else, I'm happy that I did that movement perfectly all 3 times. All right, but for the 3rd time, will we have a Pokemon on Ratio Rock?
Oh, we full screen you again? It's the most important part of the run.
That's okay. The answer was yes, but in a far more gentle location.
All right. This is fine.
I just need to dodge those. Ooh, dodge you. Okay. Yup. Okay, here we go. Okay. Whoa! That was a Grivard in the ground.
I would not have gone to the left of that Lycanroc. You're going to the left. I'm like, oh my, what are you doing?
I was already committed.
I know. Oh, man.
The Grivard, though. Oh, my goodness. So, if you know... Oh, my God. What is happening? Why are there so many of you? I was just going to explain that Grivards don't spawn... They spawn in the ground, so only the little candle pops out. So they're actually, like, really difficult to spot. But since this low camera angle, when you hold LZ down to get the low camera angle, it's also the wild Pokemon lock-on button. And I was locked on for a little bit, which can be very dangerous because if you're holding forward and locked on, you will run into that encounter. I was able to recognize it. Whoa. Okay, I deserve that. Okay. I don't know how I wasn't able to run from a Sandullet. Okay, we're fine. There was the horde of 5 Gibble. The one on the left closed the gap, and that's a little unfortunate. I did pick up a Pokédoll, but I didn't think that would be the Mon that would outspeed me. Okay, my spawns are getting real nasty today. Where am I going? I was a little bit farther to the right than I thought.
I haven't done the movement with the Rashman in a while, so I just didn't recognize where you were, but I was like, oh, it's just because of the Rashman. It's fine.
Okay, damn it. No, okay, there. Ooh, okay. Ooh, that was close. I was not expecting the Weasels to spawn that close to your jump point. I got away with that. Okay, there's more. This is ridiculous. Why are there so many spawns?
My favorite horror
Why
game.
don't repels work in this game? Why don't they even exist? Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Okay, there we go. There we go. Whew. Okay, we're safe.
It's not like you're getting to a much better area. I've had the worst thing here. So in any percent, you do this next movement slightly differently because you have to tag a Pokemon Center. Here, you don't have to worry about tagging it because you're never flying back here.
Were there Makahitas in front of that little jump?
Well, no. So what happened to me, so if you look over on the left side of the screen, we just got past, there's like a little plateau. You can kind of jump around it. There's no solid ground that goes across the whole thing, but you can jump from one side to the other without jumping down into the quarry. And I made that jump, and there was a Bramblin on the other side that I bonked into, and it knocked me into the quarry.
Oh.
And there's no good way out of that quarry. You have to go all the way around.
I had a set of 5 Makihitas spawn before the jump point.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen
and
too.
I still tried to make the jump, and I definitely did not make the jump.
Oh, yeah, that's one of those things where I know in my mind the correct thing to do is abandon and go up and around basically the way you just went. But in the moment, I will always try to make that jump anyways.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that overcorrection almost hit the Q fan there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm exclaiming a little less than the previous area. So
I will say, obviously, like you hit the Salandit and stuff, but the game did you absolutely no favors when it came to all those encounters. That was some of like just the most encounters that you can see in some of those areas.
Yeah. And now that we've seen 3 runs, we kind of know, like, I expect, like, to have to dodge a little bit, but when you're getting 5, 5, 5, 5, and they're, like, just spawning in succession, it can be really annoying. Okay, that was at least the best I've done that menu today. We take those, and yes, Earthworm digs in the same pattern every time. Okay, good. I was telling Etiquette before this, I was just like, you're really just going to be my mental health coach during this run?
No, I think with the cards you were dealt, that was actually a really good movement section. Like, I wouldn't beat myself up over that one encounter. Yeah. The fact that it was only one encounter is actually...
Yeah. And it was still a faster one encounter than the other one.
Exactly.
Didn't my last run have like 3 encounters or something? No, it just had the one.
I think your first run did.
Yeah.
Your last one, I think, only had the one, but it was a really punishing encounter because it was the arena trap. Luckily, Earthworm is probably the least stressful of the fights.
It is. It's the only one that's like just totally guaranteed.
Yeah, because even Cloth, you have to worry about the overgrow setup.
Yeah, Cloth is overgrow. Earthworm is no problem on Aurasphere. Bombardier has a range with Aurasphere. Iron Treads, mine has a favorable range, but it is still a range on the first one, and then there's the unfavorable second phase range.
Right.
And Dondozo and Tatsugiri are just a time. Dondozo, it's probably the you can lose the most time on the first phase because that is also a range. And I think that's 6 and 16 for me. And then you're pretty favorable to get 2 shots on the other 2 phases. But yeah, this is the only one where thankfully we teach Aurasphere slot 1, so it's just mash A. The menu in this game is just built differently too. The battle menu. I mean, I know you've noticed this, Etiquette, that like in every other game you can mash A on what like it says battle, and then there's like a buffer period before the next like menu comes up. There's like no buffer period in this one. So it's you can select the 2. It's just like ding ding. It just selects the 2 moves very fast. I don't unturbo my A button either, so I have to like really tap the A button on that battle menu. Otherwise, I will select that first move, even if I want to change moves.
Yeah. Somebody in chat asks, is there a Goldengo speedrun category? There's not a category for it, but a speedrun of it actually has been done. Using a very similar rule set to this category. So starting basically after the tutorial section, after the school. I want to say it's like 45 minutes. Pulse Effects did it.
Pulse did it.
He
said it was actually very fun.
Yeah.
I think the idea is you go around and you get the chests, which are all worth 50 or 60 coins each.
Yep, exactly.
And I don't know if he does any like respawning tricks, but they're scattered across the map. It's definitely one of those categories where it's like, yeah, explore the whole map, kind of deal. But instead of picking up the candies, you get the Golden Ego coins or the Gimme Ghoul coins. I don't think he bothers picking up any of the individual ones.
Probably not, yeah.
Because it's like, you have to like interact with it. It's like slow, and then you only get 1 coin for your efforts. One of my friends asked, why isn't there an option to turn off Gimmighoul sounds in the overworld? Because there's so many of them that you just hear... It's like in every turn.
It's a pretty good impression, I would say.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
I'm practicing for my next GDQ couch appearance. I should do that sound and like rub 2 quarters together.
Another good question from chat: why do we skip the initial parts of the game and start at school? The kind of lazy answer is it's just what we voted on. But in general, the way that it's seen is this category is the objective is like the whole storyline, and so you don't actually get the story. Like the start of the story is at the school, and so you can kind of like justify it that way. But in general, like it was just one of those things. Since it's not a full game category, anyways, it kind of made sense to start at like the most opportune time. It is worth mentioning though that for all Pokemon games, there's typically like an English community and Japanese community. And for this game, the Japanese community does not start at the school. They do start at New Game. So there's an opportunity to do it that way as well.
It would almost make sense that, well, we haven't seen because we haven't beaten Arvin yet, is that there's a little title card that pops up and it says Path of Legends. And when you talk to him in the school for the first time, that's when you get it. It would almost make the most sense to start time at the moment you get the title card and then end it when you get the final title card. But it makes more sense because the 3 companions all kind of give you the title cards in almost the same spot when you're at school and just leaving the school. And that moment where we're just standing in the middle of Mesagoza is the moment where our companions split and leave us to take on our own adventure at that point. And that just feels like the best spot. That was pretty solidly like, okay, here's a pretty natural spot. And you wouldn't have to try to optimize one title card over another in the intro, since all 3 of the single story categories start at the same spot.
Yeah, and you could, if you wanted to. I mean, this category changed a little bit because it used to use a different main Pokemon. But you could, in theory, use the same save file for all 3 of the categories. Now you can't really, just because, like I said, this one requires Meowscarada, where at least Victory Road does require Fuecoco. And then Starfall, depends on what route you're doing. The actual fastest route for Starfall hasn't been fully figured out yet.
That's the best I've done that all. That was the fewest number of bonks, so we take those.
It's so nice that the Miracle Seed is just the first item
option.
And the first option.
Mash A.
Yeah.
Oh boy, rain. Not only rain, I think this is a full-on thunderstorm. Something random weather in my game. Where's the meteorologist when you need one?
Playing it.
I'm storm chasing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, weather is random in this game. It changes, or it has an opportunity to change like every 5 or so minutes.
Was that lightning?
It might have been. It doesn't really impact things. Actually, it could impact things in this run if you have rain for Casseroya Lake, but it is actually a big source of some RNG for some of the other categories. There's a couple of fights where you can have Sandstorm, and Sandstorm will give you like extra time between turns. If you need to use fire moves and it's raining, that's a big deal. But it is worth mentioning that the rain or the weather that is happening at the start of the battle is the weather that will persist throughout the battle. Even if visually the weather changes, you will still have the effect of that first weather. So there are cases where you'll have Sandstorm at the start of a battle, it will stop, and you'll still get hit with sand. I did not see that.
I did not see that either.
I'm gonna watch the replay because
it's a Nimble. I'm not surprised. It's like the smallest Pokemon in the entire game. There's another! Man!
I did not see that first one. That first one was not there.
And the reason I went to the right here is because this Weasel started like rushing me down the center, like where I wanted to go, so I was gonna dodge it to the right. So I just hit 2 Nimbles.
Okay. Second one I did see.
Yeah.
I probably would have run into it as well, but I because I was looking for it, I did see it.
I was more concerned about the Weasel than the Nimble on the second one, but I never saw the first one.
Yeah.
Why are there so many? There needed to be. Listen. It's really cool that like the Pokemon sizes match like their sizes, and you can tell like when some Pokemon are bigger than others, like of the same species. But it's gotta moderate like a little bit. Like Legends Arceus, like the Wurple, like you can see the Wurples clearly in Legends Arceus. They're not like insanely tiny, but they're still generally smaller than other Pokemon. I don't know. They made the Nimbles and the Capsikids like very small. I actually tried to. Should just stop talking. I actually tried to like lift off the gas before the one rock hit me, and it still hit me.
There is a clip of another runner, Garfield the Lightning, where we don't know how, but one of those boulders fell, hit him in the face, and just rocketed off of him. It just completely bounced off of him, and he kept running. We have no idea how it happened. As far as I know, no one else has been able to replicate it either.
So T-Pat, obviously this category is shorter and was definitely, sort of the choice for this show given its length, but what is on the horizon for Pokemon speedrunning for T-Pat?
That's a great question. I'm still looking to pop an 80% PB myself. I'm at 5:30:31 is my best time, and I'm getting so close to like sub 5:30. Yesterday I had a run that was 10 seconds over. Imagine running a 5.5 hour category only to miss PB by 10 seconds. That's where I've been at this past week, so I want to do that. I do have a couple marathon runs coming up next month. It's for our friends at Really Really Longathon. They're doing a marathon in April, and I have two runs. I'm going to be doing Legends Arceus any percent and Let's Go Eevee. So you'll see me probably de-rust PLA a little bit more. Let's Go is a run where you can just jump into and be good at like immediately. It's a very, very good run. But yeah, you'll be able to see me still running this game, still running some Legends Arceus, maybe throwing some Eevee in there every once in a while. I run all of the Switch mainline games, the Quinfecta, if you will. I think my combined PBs is like second only to Etiquette in the Quinfecta, so to speak. It was actually a really fun challenge to be like, all right, what's my weakest game right now? And at one point it was Shield. Like my Shield best time was a 4:32, and I got that down to a 4:13. And in this game, it was like, oh, I'm hoping for sub 6, and then I got to like 5:44 like pretty quickly. So it's been great to be like, oh, what's like my worst game, and then try to improve that. So I'm very, very solid at all 5 of the main, we call them like glitchless categories of the Switch games.
So that's Let's Go, Sword Shield, Arceus, this, and
BDSP.
Ah, yes.
Ah, yes.
Etiquette, what about you? What's on the horizon project-wise?
So I'm trying to take a bit of a break from this game. I spent a lot of time, got a little bit burnt out from this one. That said, I was invited to the Twitch Rivals event this week, which is kind of like a cross between a competitive battling and speedrunning kind of competition. It'll be kind of interesting. But yeah, other than that, I've actually similar approach to T-Pat, where I'm trying to look at games that I'm not the best in and trying to get better at them. But I'm actually focusing more on like the whole Pokemon series. So like I recently went back to Pokemon Red, which was the first run I ever did 10 years ago at this point, and was able to improve my PB. I still have a bit to go there. Then I also want to look at other games in the Pokemon series that I've actually never done. Like a lot of the DS games, for example, I've never really done a speedrun of, so kind of looking toward that. And then outside of Pokemon, I know this will make our tech person Ray happy. The Chrono Cross remaster actually just came out with a performance patch, and I want to get back to that because that's a really fun run.
Nice. I just noticed that, so those of you who are avid hotfix viewers, you know, you've been around a while, you've been checking out all the shows. Obviously, there's been this sort of like slow trend towards new layouts over the course of the last like year or so. So that the hotfix shows start looking a little bit more like, you know, sort of the layout style of the main events. And obviously we have our friends over at Support Class to thank for that amazing work. But all the individual shows, like you might notice that some of the individual shows have little fun, like not gimmicks, but like little mechanics almost within the layout. And I just noticed that the PB Precipice thing is like properly functional and working. And there's a little PB Precipice window to the left of the game, which is really sick. It shows, you know, what's the target time, what's the best we've had today, how many attempts are we in for today. It's really interesting.
I just noticed that out of the corner of my eye. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's, you know, as we sort of acclimate more and have different runners on and whatever, I'm sure there's a lot of really interesting applications. It's also nice to have a window for the splits. It's just, you know, it's all coming together. We're actually, this is weird to say, but I've now been doing hotfix for almost 2.5 years.
Hey, yo,
wow.
That's awesome.
And PB Precipice will be 2 years old in October, and Challenger Approaching will be 3 years old in December. Which is very strange. And I'll be 5 years old in December, so that's really exciting.
I was going to say, it would be really funny if you had one of those February 29th birthdays, and it's like, wow, I'm turning 6 next year.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I've ever met anybody with a leap year birthday.
I work with 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah. Did you know that in a group of 23 random people, you are statistically likely that 2 of them share the same birthday?
I did know this little birthday fact. It's a classic little numerology and number theory like thing to pull out. It's the same as like the handshake problem.
I did over half on that one, so that's good. It's just a straight 15% for me to Oko this here. Or 2 hit KO. I got it. I just straight up got a 15%.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm going to save time on this split, and I had 2 encounters. Like, just think about that for a second. 2 encounters split, and I still gold split it. Or no, 2 encounters in the last split.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah.
I mean, how much time did I lose on that split? Yeah, that's about right. I lost 18 on that one, and then I gained 6.5 here. So that was a true gold split because I had pretty good drop down from the mountain. It wasn't quite as perfect as it was last time, but I just outright hit that 2-shot range, which saved a handful of seconds. So this run is not dead in the water yet. In fact, we have not even jumped in water.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Very soon, though.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to connect my thoughts.
People are asking about the handshake problem in chat. It's like the type of problem you would find in like a high school math Olympiad, or the type of problem that you would study if you were doing like graph theory or like basic number theory and stat stuff. It's basically how many handshakes does it take for every single person in a group of people to like shake hands with everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
I think it works out to, yeah, here it is. N times N minus 1 all over 2 is the number of handshakes for a group of people. Or that's how many handshakes can be made. I don't really remember the specifics.
Yeah, that's how many unique handshakes there are, because there's N people, and those N people can shake hands with N minus 1 other people.
Right.
But you have to divide it by 2, because otherwise you double count. Like, me shaking hands with T-Pat is the same as T-Pat shaking hands with me.
Right.
So you have to like, divide by 2 to get rid of that.
Etiquette, you strike me as a high school math Olympiad guy. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry, me too.
I did the whole math and science Olympiad as well. There was one that I just saw recently that is like very OCD upsetting. It's like the most efficient way to pack boxes, like square boxes, if you have a square that's length like 4.6 n, and n is the length of the box, and you can fit 17, and all the middle ones are like at an angle. And it's like, this is gross. But if you did them all square, you would only fit 16, so you shuffle them around and angle them and to get one extra one in there. It was like, this is OCD upsetting. No one asked for this information.
No.
I miss Math League. That was fun.
Yeah, I definitely... There's something nice about, like, receiving interesting problems with a time limit and, like, trying to solve them with your friends. I don't know. It just always felt nice. I liked it a lot. We also, like, we did well. Funny. I don't know.
Yeah, the one thing that was always funny was there was a group of like 5 of us that they moved us up in. Basically, there were like 2 students that were already a grade ahead in math, and they moved more of us up with them to basically make it so they didn't have a 2-person class senior year. And they did that, and so I missed the second half of Algebra 2 and went straight to pre-calc.
Oh no!
And so I never learned like matrices or anything. So anytime there was a matrix problem in Math League, I would just like couldn't do it.
I don't remember how to multiply matrices.
No idea. There's brackets. That's all you know.
Brackets
and numbers in rows and columns. There you go.
In physics, I studied physics for undergrad and graduate, and there are like it all becomes matrices in linear algebra once you get to a certain point. Like, I hate matrices. I really hate them, and it is all that we do, and it's no good. Wait, but Etiquette, don't you do comp sci? I feel like
it was super laggy.
Yeah.
Aren't matrices kind of the bread and butter?
There's some of it, yeah.
When it comes to like CS theory.
Well, okay.
What? My game is so laggy right now. I'm trying to heal.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a bit of it since, but
that was very weird. I hit the menu button, but the game lagged so much that I thought I didn't hit it. So I hit it again, and it took both of the X inputs, and it forced me into a weird menu I hadn't seen before.
I love this game.
So what happened on that last fight? Did you just miss the range, or did you like?
Yeah, I just missed the range. I got aquatailed. I still have to just. Yeah, it's not bad. You just have to heal, and then you just take the opportunity to adamant mint. But that menu was funky because the lake is a laggy area. That battle in particular, I could tell that yellow icon card was just taking a while to even show up on screen. It's just, this game is weird. There are some days where this game is just like, I don't want to speedrun. It's like, what do you mean you don't want to speedrun? You're the game.
Well, what's funny is I don't mind a lot of like the lag or whatever if we know how it works or like how to avoid it, right? So a good example of that is, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's 100% true, I promise. So for the Starfall bases, once you basically finish the minigame in the base, it loads the like boss for the base, which is the Team Star leader. And depending on where you stand in the base when you finish it, that load will either take 3 seconds or it will take 18 seconds. That is not an exaggeration.
No, I remember this. You thought your game crashed.
I thought, well, we only noticed it because I happened to be like comparing against my PB. I had my PB video open and I was ahead going into the base and way behind coming out. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And so we checked afterward and it was, 15-second difference in the load. But it's one of those things that now that we know, it's like, okay, just make sure you end the base in the middle of the area and you're fine. And so that kind of stuff I don't mind anymore. It's those things where it's like, this is lagging here and I have no idea why.
I was hoping Gradient would use Takedown there. I'm going to use Leafage because there is no reason for me to use the very long Flower Trick. I just decided that at the last second. I was like, I shouldn't use Flower Trick there. Flower Trick's a very slow move.
It is.
I had
decent split.
I had that bad menu and whatever, and I still saved like a whole bunch of times. So again, this run ain't dead in the water, but I sure wish I was 18 seconds ahead, just straight up 30 seconds behind that last run. And just nothing is sacred until after you beat Arvin. Thank you for at least putting Arvin as my PB on the screen instead of did not finished, because then it makes it sound like I crashed or something. Listen, Arvin's a very appropriate rival. I actually adore this game's like storylines. I think the 3 companions and their 3 storylines are just excellent. Like, it's something we haven't seen out of a Pokemon game in a long while. Because as much as I complained about the story in Sword and Shield, that's like as much as I praise it in Scarlet Violet.
Yeah, overall, I would say I was happy with the story in this game. I had no complaints.
Yeah, funny enough, so after what, like a couple months of this game being out, like Flamigo was like the odds-on favorite for every single category. It still is for any percent, and it still is for Victory Road for sure. But it looked like, I think it was Iron and Pulse hashed out this Meowscarada route for Path of Legends. And Iron tries very hard to pick any Pokemon except Flamigo for Starfall Street. And we've gotten some very interesting results. I think Starfall Street's world record is now double Flamigo again.
It's still Flamigo by Crisis, but there was... Yeah, so Starfall Street was Spider C and Iron Dray were both doing like weird Pokemon. Like, we're talking like Wigglytuff and Venomoth and Scyther and Toxtricity. And it was like, it was super cool to see. And then Saiyan, who is the record holder for any percent, made a route with Flamigo and beat those runs by like 4 minutes. And it was like, oh my God, Flamigo's just going to take this over. And it stayed like that until Spider C beat it by over a minute with
was it Toxtricity?
Venomoth.
No.
It was with Venomoth. But the main thing that they did was they skipped fighting Cloth. So Cloth isn't required to do the Starfall Street run. It was just something we would do, sort of like an optional objective to give us the dash ability, and then we can use dash everywhere. Turns out, you don't actually save enough time to make fighting Cloth worth it. And so ended up beating it with Venomoth. It has since been beaten again by Flamigo, but there's a decent chance that it could be something other than Flamigo in that category. Like, the times are within a minute right now.
I think Iron really likes Toxtricity.
Yes.
Just Poison Electric is a fun combination. That's my PB in Sword Shield. Any percent with DLC is a Toxtricity run.
Yeah. And then Spider's actually been trying to get Baxcalibur to do well in the Victory Road speedrun. Victory Road is firmly Flamigo right now, but Spider's been putting a lot of effort into a Baxcalibur route. It seems like a cool route. I like Baxcalibur as a Pokemon.
It works because those the pseudo legends, which usually evolve at 55, it's totally possible when you're just picking up a ton of candies. Like we fought 5 fights and we're 53 because we've just done candies.
I mean, I'm a massive Aggron fan, so I don't think anybody would be shocked to find out that Baxcalibur's my favorite new Pokemon.
Hey, you love to hear it.
Anything Godzilla-like, I'm in.
All right, I don't ask much from the GDQ chat, but if you have a bless emote, can we like spam that for the next 5 minutes? Because I might need some help on the Arven fights. And you know what? I would just appreciate that. Am I right?
We need it, Twitch chat. We need it.
Yeah, we have to build up that energy now during the cutscene so that we can release it all on the greetant like a Kamehameha. Kamehameha?
I think,
something
yeah,
like
Kamehameha, I think, yeah.
It'll be a blessed Kamehameha.
It's like such a long build up to this one Pokemon.
It's long because of the previous cutscene and then this cutscene.
Yeah.
And we just do them back to back. That's how I feel about in any percent. You go from the Penny fight and then there's the long post Penny like Starfall Street cutscene. Yep. And then you talk to the professor and then you talk to Penny again. And then you come here to talk to Arven. It's like almost 10 minutes between fights.
Yeah, something that's kind of nice is this cutscene is before the fight, so like your final split, quote unquote, is like 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
But in like Starfall Street, the final fight is like 5.5 minutes away from the actual end of the run. It's like, I know I've already PV'd, let's just get through this.
No, you have to select the director's office, which is 7 inputs away, and then And then you have to make sure you don't bonk into Penny because I just somehow always bonk into her when I'm going down the stairs. And I don't have to menu because I've already used the adamant. The adamant, as I like to call it. Yes, just put all the rain in my game today. All right, here we go. We're going to win this time. I believe.
I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win. I'm turning up the music in my ears because we're gonna finish on an absolute banger. But this is good, like ADEF Jam energy.
There you go. That's me. That's who I am.
Yep. I don't have to explain the gradient. You all know. You all know what could happen. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. More concerned about the damage, which was totally fine. So we're just going to ignore the paralysis for now. Okay. We'll just full restore.
We have the full restore.
Oh, okay. No, yep, there we go.
All right. So now we just go. We're not in overgrow, so we will have to use some slower moves. But we're past the greeting.
All right, here's the question, Etiquette. Do I have to use the thing at the end of the fights?
Yes, you do. You have to.
I have to. Okay. All right.
You will not kill it if you don't.
Okay, we're gonna win. We're gonna promise we're gonna win. And now so since I'm not an overgrow, I do have to use the slower flower trick on the next 2 Pokemon.
And then I think you grass
not the cloister.
The cloister. Perfect.
Listen, we get past this and it's a PB today.
This is true. That's a way to look at it.
PB today, saving the best for last.
Love the sound of this.
All right, final Pokemon. So this has Intimidate, which does drop our attack. However, Flower Trick is a move that always critical hits. It is 100% critical hit chance, and critical hits will ignore negative stat changes. So
yeah, but we've gone.
We don't have to worry about.
Yeah, we've gone from +4 to +3. Since I'm not overgrow, I do have to Terra Style. It is kind of slow. It's like Dynamaxing. Like, you only use it if you absolutely have to. And when you Terra Style into the same type as your Pokemon, it basically gets double stab. So grass moves go from being 50% more powerful to 100% more powerful. And we do need that boost because we don't have the 50% increase from overgrow. Bam. And we finished a run! Hooray!
Look at that.
Yay!
Yeah, I haven't beaten Arvin in like a couple months, so it at least feels good to like win the battle, even though it's not going to be a true PB. Certainly showcase that like I'm still getting better at the game. I can still lay down like some gold splits, and
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
it'll come.
Yeah, I think since we're a little over, I'll go ahead and do the intro now as the sort of end of the run comes in. But T-Pad, thank you so much for joining us. And Etiquette, thank you for being on commentary today. It was an absolute blast. Everybody, I do highly recommend you follow T-Pad. That's twitch.tv/ThomasPatrickWX. Go
Time is
check.
coming up.
Go check
Time
him
comes
out.
when this goes away. It's like when the little border goes away, and it is 3, 2, 1 time.
T-Pad. Everybody go check him out. Twitch.tv/ThomasPatrickWX. T-Pad, any final thoughts?
Just thank you very much, ADEF, for having me, and thanks, Etiquette, for being here, for helping with the explanations, and again, like some of the mental health, because the runs can be quite hectic. Again, if you want to see some great Pokemon speedrunning content, you can follow myself or Etiquette. We're usually always hanging out in each other's chats anyways, and we're always more than happy to help anybody that wants to get into the runs, be it this category or the full-length game. We'd love to have you around. So thank you all very much. Thank you to everybody in chat for blessing me in that last fight. It absolutely worked, so thank you very much for that. Thank you again.
All right, gamers, do not go anywhere as there is more Hotfix Gaming coming up right after this. We will have It's Dangerous to Go Alone, which is a wonderful show all about cooperative speedruns, so do not miss that. Additionally, gamers, Games Done Quick is returning to PAX East 2023 on March 23rd through the 26th. So if you are going to be there in Boston, be sure to check out the speedrun stage if you're interested in watching some speedruns or playing through the gauntlet. And with that, gamers, I have been ADEF. Thank you for watching PB Precipice, and stick around for more Hotfix.